You damn right. Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. Closing in on Thanksgiving, closing in on some holidays, but more importantly right now, closing in on more football. Best of luck to all those high school teams trying to advance. As we'll tell you in the Flex segment later, we got some volleyball teams trying to win state championships from the area, and we're going to try to cover it all for you. Chad and Zay on a Wednesday. I'm Chad Hastings, joined once again by Isaiah Collier. Zay, what's up?
What's goody? What's goody? Big game tonight, downtown Austin, the Moody Center. Yeah, I know we broke it in already, but this is how you break it in. Bring in the number 2 team in the nation and get some revenge on that brutal loss that you had last year in Spokane.
Absolutely. You know what I want from Texas fans today? I was going to ask our man Patrick Davis. I'll do it during a break. I want to hear about Texas fans' favorite non-conference games at home, that you were there live. Because through the years, there haven't been a ton of those moments. Sometimes you'll look at that schedule and go, oh, okay, they're at that, but they're not coming here. But occasionally we've had them throughout the years. Longhorn fans, what are your favorite home non-conference games? Because this will be, I don't recall, I know in the Mark Few era, Gonzaga hadn't been here. So this is very cool. The fact that Texas went, did they go to the Kennel last year or did they find a neutral out there?
No,
they were in
went
the
to
Kennel, right?
It was rocking too.
The fact that they play at their place and now you're getting a true home and home, I love that about college basketball. We'll hopefully get there in college football one day where people aren't afraid to schedule non-conference games, more of these kind of games. So we're gonna start with that game. We're gonna get some of Zay's thoughts on it. You give us your thoughts, Texas and Gonzaga. We'll give you some of our thoughts on it. Remember, 8:30 is that tip time tonight. So a little bit later, I'm gonna need some coffee. I'll be ready. I'll be ready to roll. 8 o'clock pregame, 8:30 tip. And remember, all men's basketball games are on the Horn, of course, and also on Coke FM. So our brothers and sisters over at Coke jump in for men's basketball just like they do for football. So you can listen on the Horn app, the Coke app, hornfm.com, cokefm.com. Obviously, listen on the terrestrial side if you want. And remember, all you need to do when you stream is just that extra click. Look, you're looking for the Longhorn Sports clicker button, if you will, that'll get you to that UT player, but you can access those through hornfm.com and cokefm.com. So we got basketball coming up. Before we get into that, let's update a horrible story, but maybe that has a little bit of a ray of sunshine in it that's kind of developing here. So first off, the news part of it is that Virginia's not going to play football this week. Not a shock. Not a surprise at all. They were scheduled to play Coastal Carolina this week, and obviously Coastal Carolina understands why they can't play. These 3 players shot and killed in an incident early this week. So Virginia won't play this week. They are going to still talk about whether or not they want to go to Blacksburg next week and play at Virginia Tech. I'm not sure how they would even think about doing that. But Zay, the good news here is that one of the other people, first off, there's 2 people that were shot, but that did not die. And one of them is a student, and they say she's in good condition. That's great news. The second piece of great news is actually another football player. It's a running back named Mike Hollins. Mike was shot in the back. The bullet lodged in his stomach. They ended up, putting him on a ventilator. Obviously, it was a very serious, I'm not sure if it went to critical condition or not. But they had to do surgery. They got the bullet out of there, and then they saw good things after that. They were able to take him off the ventilator, and they think he's going to be able to make a full recovery.
Wow.
So a little bit of good news coming out of that story. All thoughts and prayers already going to the Virginia family. But, man, Mike Hollins trying to pull through something like that. You wish nothing but the best for him and his family, and obviously the student who I think has been named, but I do not have her name right in front of me. I think Maylee is her first name. I'll double-check that. But glad that they think they're going to be okay. Such a terrible story, but at least there's a little bit of positivity there.
Yeah, a little bit, and prayers go out to everybody in Virginia that's been affected by it, the football team, the university, all the families that lost people and have people in critical condition. It's just a horrible situation, and yeah, you just gotta cherish every day.
Yeah, and I had it close. Her name is Marley Morgan, who was also shot. She is a student at Virginia, and they think she's going to be okay. She's in good condition right now, which is great to hear. And this was a field trip to Washington, D.C., which when you're at the University of Virginia, that's not tough to do.
Right.
If you know where Charlottesville is and Washington, D.C. So something really normal and everyday and should have been really, not normal. I mean, I don't want to say normal, a really cool field trip when you get to go to D.C. But for them in that area, this is something I'm sure that groups of students do all the time. And then something like that happens. Just terrible stuff. And then the other thing, Zay, I know that some people have connected that the head coach of Virginia is it Tony Elliott? I believe is the name, the guy that was at Clemson, the offensive coordinator from Clemson that took that job. And he's the guy that is having to deal with all of this right now. I'm trying to imagine.
I couldn't imagine.
Okay, wow. Just incredible. And like he said, there is no playbook for this. There's no playbook. There's no plan. There's no, he just got to kind of deal with it, as it comes. And they have decided they will not play the game this week. So we'll start with that, and a little bit of good news there, and obviously a terrible story. But let's move on to the big game tonight. The Moody Center, like Zay said, really gets officially opened tonight because the Zags are in town. Let's go Spec Set Piece. All right. Tony Elliott, if I said that name wrong. Tony Elliott is the head coach at Virginia. All right. So Texas and Gonzaga tonight. Texas ranked right around number 12. Gonzaga number 2. And Zay, we've kind of got a little basketball math we can play here. I'll say that anytime you beat a Mike Izzo coached Michigan State team, I'll give you love for it. Now, when Gonzaga did that, 64-63 on an aircraft carrier, some might say, well, Michigan State was unranked and maybe they're not an elite Michigan State kind of team. However, since then, Michigan State last night puts up a hell of a fight against Kentucky and beats them in, was it double OT?
Double OT, yeah.
Double overtime. So now the test that's coming to Austin, we already knew it was tough. But now, having beaten Michigan State, does that feel different to you after watching last night?
Not necessarily. I think matchups have a lot to do with each game. So we saw Kentucky last year lose first round in the tournament, so it doesn't matter. Each game is different. Each game has its own identity. And plus, they were playing, like you said, on a ship. Yeah. It was a cool setup, but it's hard to judge a game from that when wind could be in effect. So,
right, yeah, outdoors and everything.
It's an odd setup. That's hard to judge. Now, Gonzaga did get blown out by Rick Barnes' Tennessee team, and yes, it was an exhibition game, but they played all their dogs. So to lose 99-80, that's something to look at. Will you say Gonzaga is not as good as recent years? Yeah, you could say that a little bit, or you could say this is a really good Tennessee team that might hoist up a national championship once April comes around. So that's hard to, explain from that. But yeah, this team coming in from Spokane, not as good as recent years. They usually have a really good lead guard to go along with their good post players. Jalen Suggs, who now plays with the Orlando Magic. Andrew Nembhard, who now plays with the Indiana Pacers. Both of those guys ran the show these last 2 years. And yes, Rasir Bolton, the Iowa State transfer that the Horns have seen a few times, he's solid. Nolan Hickman, he's the guy. If he gets going, and he's a former McDonald's All-American 5-star player, if he could find his way as that lead guard position, they're going going to be tough like they always are, but everything revolves around Drew Timme, the Dallas native, who's been there for, it seems like ever since 2014 he's been there. I mean, it's ridiculous, but last year he gave the Horns 37 points, and I thought Coach Beard had a pretty bad game plan for him. Yes, they had Chet Holmgren, but when you got a guy that's that good in the post, has footwork like he does, he's like the Kevin McHale of college basketball, and he's been like that ever since he's gotten in college basketball. You got to double him. They didn't double him at all last year. I don't know if it was just it's kind of like in football, when you double a really good nose tackle, it frees up the linebackers and edge guys to maybe blitz and get in on those gaps. And I feel like Chris Beard was kind of afraid of, if we double team him, what can they do with Andrew Nembhard? What can they do with Chet Holmgren? They don't have those guys no more. So you got to say, Julian Strawther, who might be their next best player, you're beating us tonight. Ain't no way Drew Timme's giving us 30 here at the Mood. And if you're Timmy Allen, if you're Christian Bishop, you remember that, because that was embarrassing. Even if you're doubling or you're playing one-on-one, whatever. So hopefully Chris Beard isn't stubborn enough not to double Drew Timme, because, man, that's lunch meat for him. And his eyes going to be wide open if he has single matchups with Dylan DeSue and Christian Bishop and Dylan Mitchell. He's going to put all those guys on the workout table, and it's just going to be brutal. So you're going to have to give him different looks. I'm not saying double every time, but you have to allow those other guys to beat you tonight if you want a chance of winning this ball game.
8:30 tip tonight at the Moody Center. By the way, I'm sorry if I called Tom Izzo Mike Izzo. I have no idea who Mike Izzo.
Did you call him Mike Izzo?
That's what two different texters are saying I did. I apologize if I did that. Tom Izzo is his name.
Okay.
I think I know that. Maybe it's left my brain as I get to be an older and older man here. Also want to remind you, if you're a fantasy owner like Zay, we do have our fantasy segment with J.D. Lewis coming up at 12:30. So start throwing us those fantasy questions. Specs text line 337.
It's almost playoff time, people.
3776. The Brett Favre is a good American and a great father team is what? 8-2?
8-2, baby. 100% chance of making the playoffs. It's all about getting to the bye week. This is going to be a tough week for me because I have basically everybody on the bye. I would like to ask JD who I should pick up on the waiver wire. It's only a 10-person league, so there should be somebody out there for me. We'll see what JD says.
Okay, so Zay, back to this basketball game. Last game in, you were talking about rebounding. We've discussed the size issue with Texas. Do they have enough size? If somebody comes in here, Drew Timme's 6'10", so in terms of defending a player like that, but also getting on the boards. The other reason I ask about rebounding is Julian Strawther is a 6'7" guard, and Malachi Smith is a 6'4" guard. So Gonzaga is going to come in here with size at the guard position as well. How big of a concern is the glass for you tonight?
It's a pretty big concern, especially if Chris Beard's going to have a lot of 6'4" guards out there. I mean, I love Sir'Jabari Rice, and he has long arms, but he is only 6'4". Marcus Carr, around 6'1", 6'2". Sir'Jabari Rice, he's barely over 6 feet. So, Tyrese Hunter, he's barely over 6 feet. So those guys, they are tough, and Tyrese Hunter's a really good defender, which I think he plays bigger than what his measurements say. So it just depends on the matchups. You got to play a little chess, with these teams, and I will continue to say there's going to be times where you're going to have to play Christian Bishop and Dylan DeSue. You don't have to play them for a full 40, not at all, but just depending on the matchups, because that's going to be the key to beat Texas year-round for the opposing teams. Can we beat them with height? Can we get on the offensive glass and give our team more possessions? That's how you beat the Longhorns, because their D on the perimeter, it's going to be stout. It's going to be a Chris Beard, really tough defense. On the offensive end, are you going to be able to get enough attempts if you're Texas? Because last year you played with one of the slowest paces in all of college basketball. Now you're trying to pick up the tempo with those, Sir'Jabari Rice and Tyrese Hunter and Marcus Carr playing the two, playing freely, and you got more athletic guys like Dylan Mitchell and I think Arterio Morris. You're definitely going to need him because he could give you a spark. Now he's a microwave type of guy. If he's not hitting, then his value definitely declines, but still, if he hits a couple of shots, then who knows? We saw what he did against Arkansas. Those 19 points, hit 4 threes. So it's he's gonna have to play chess with Mark Few, and he needs to understand there's gonna be times you gotta play big. Maybe Timmy Allen at the 2, maybe Dylan Mitchell at the 3 with Dylan Dessou and Christian Bishop. And I understand if those guys get into foul trouble, then what do? You have guys tough enough coming off the bench in the guards that I just named that should be able to help you on both sides of the ball.
Who wants the quicker tempo, Beard or Few?
Beard.
Okay,
Beard.
that's what I would assume.
Yeah, if you're Few, you want to slow it
Few wants
down.
to drag it down and let Timmy go to work.
Let Timmy go to work, whether that's on the top of the key in the high post, because he's good there. He's good at taking a couple dribbles and making a spin, and he gains a lot of ground on those spin moves and finishes. And one thing I'll be telling Dylan Mitchell, if I'm the assistant coaches, Coach Chappelle, Coach Terry, I'm telling Dylan Mitchell, stay on the ground. Stay on the ground until you see that ball goes up, because he'll hit you with a plethora of pump fakes.
Great faker.
Drew Timmy, that's where he makes his money. He's going to hit you. Again, he's like a college McHale. He's going to hit you with those up and unders and those fakes with the right and the left, and he can finish with the right and left like George Mikan. And he's very old school with his game. And Chris Beard said, hey, he's definitely benefiting on NIL because I don't think he has a place in the NBA. Like, I'm picturing him switching out. Oh, he has no place in the NBA. Drew Timmy, no chance.
Well,
Zero chance.
They didn't need to say it out loud before this game, does he?
I'm sorry.
Wait,
sorry.
you said Beard said that, or
Beard
you're
didn't
saying
say that? I'm saying that.
Good.
Beard was nice about it and was like, he's benefiting from NIL.
Yeah.
I'm saying, he's benefiting from NIL because he has no chance of making the league.
Okay.
Gotcha. Just picture him switching out on John Morant. All right. Oh my gosh, no chance of making the league.
You don't think he has the foot speed for that one?
No,
okay.
Jericho Sims is out here grinding and, and I'm not saying Drew Timmy definitely had a better college career than Jericho Sims, but Jericho Sims, he's perfect for the league. You see the lobs that he's catching and stuff. He can switch out on guys. It's just a different game.
Interested to see how the Longhorns will defend Julian Strother as well. I mentioned a 6'7" guard. He's already and this is obviously just a couple games, but he's averaging 15, 7, 2 assists and 2 steals a game. So he's their second leading scorer. Timmy is averaging 22 a game already, but Strother's already at 15. So how do they deal with that taller guard at 6'7"?
That's Timmy Allen's matchup.
Yeah, okay.
That's Timmy Allen's matchup. He's around 6'5", 6'6", tough, could go down low.
Got to deal with it,
That's going to be his matchup because, that's also an X factor for the Gonzaga Bulldogs if they want to go far this year. Strother has to play well. Hickman has to play well. Clearly Bolton, because everybody's going to be keying in on Drew Timmy.
Yeah, Drew Timmy coming to town tonight. Going to be exciting over at the Moody Center. 8:30 is that tip time. A lot of Longhorn fans excited about that. And, of course, we are building up towards Texas and Kansas. Coming up in the crap bag at 12:45, I'll take a look at give you some reminders, Longhorn fans. It's not reminders you're going to want to hear about, but it's a reminder I think Sark needs to hear about when it comes to this Texas-Kansas game. We'll look at some of the numbers. I've got a weather report for you.
Lord have mercy.
For Lawrence, Kansas on Saturday afternoon. Let me just say you're going to be glad it's a 2:30 kick Central Time, but it is going to be a little chilly. We will get into that and remind you what Kansas can bring coming up at 12:45. Remember, that is a 2:30 kick, so 10:30 in the morning is when we will get the pregame started. Longhorn Game Day brought to you by Bud Light. It is at Lavaca Street Bar, where I'm sure they can serve you a Bud Light if you need one. Lavaca Street Bar, 405 Lavaca, I believe is that exact address. Come on out for the pregame and the watch party. If you haven't played the Free Squares game this season, a lot of fans have really enjoyed that, and that Free Squares game could get you a prize at the end of every quarter. That's been a lot of fun to check out, and I also hear tell that just like all the other Lavaca locations, there is food available, and I've not heard what this is. I think this might be more of an Italian pizza kind of vibe. I think that's right. I'm going to double check that one for you as the week goes on. But we're getting ready for Texas and Kansas. Zay, where are you as a Longhorn football fan today on this Texas-Kansas game with everything we've been talking about coming off of the loss to TCU?
Well, I think they're going to be a little difficult to scout for because you have two quarterbacks that you're going to have to account for with this Kansas team. I think Jalen Daniels, I think he's at the point to where he should be healthy enough to play. I know Lance Leipold, he kind of said he's as close as he's been since the TCU game of getting back on the field, which that's the game he got hurt on. Not surprised there, but Jason Bean, he's been tough too. And, they've had a solid backup play. And, with that option spread that they run, it could be a little tricky because you haven't seen it much. It's just different. So I love how this defense is playing. Hopefully Deshaun Jameson comes back, and if they play like how they did here at DKR against TCU, then even with the offense woes, they should be able to get the dub because I don't think their defense, especially stopping the run, and Steve Sarkisian smart, we got to get back to running the football.
Mhm.
If you run the football with Bijan Robinson, get him close to those 30 carries like he had at Kansas State, Roschon Johnson, get him involved too, then that defense, I don't think they could keep up with the Horns.
Texas defense certainly did look good against TCU. They deserved a better fate. That is a 2:30 kick on Saturday. If you're a Cowboys fan, you know they're in Minnesota, and that is a 3:25 kick on Sunday. So we're getting ready for all of that. Up next, let's go fantasy football and help see if JD can help you out. He's been helping Zay throughout the season, clearly, because this Brett Favre team is unbelievable right now at 8-2 and headed towards the playoffs. So Zay will get a question in, and then we'll get to your question. Specs text line 337-3776. Fantasy owners, let us know what you need this week. JD will try to help you next on The Horn. All right, this is Chad talking about Twin Peaks. If you're trying to figure out something to do this Friday, got a hard week of work going on, once it's all done on Friday, get out to that Twin Peaks Stastny location because that is where Ball Don't Lie will be. That's right. Get out there, meet Rod, meet Harge. If you have not met those guys, or maybe you have and you just want to go see them again. Plus, you got the 29-degree draft brews and you got the made-from-scratch food. They'll be hanging out. Oh, they'll also be giving away some of those man cards that Twin Peaks is famous for. So get on out there on Friday. Check the guys out from 3 to 6:30. Cowboys fans, remember 3:25 kick on Sunday for Cowboys Vikings, and they've been doing the epic Cowboys jersey giveaway all season long. So just get out there for every Cowboys game for your chance to win. Ask your Twin Peaks girl for more details. Twin Peaks eats, drinks, scenic views, Stastny, San Marcos, and Round Rock. TwinPeaksRestaurant.com. All right, we get started on a Wednesday. We're talking Texas Gonzaga, getting ready for Texas Kansas in football. CFP rankings, no surprise last night, and we're going to get you some fantasy football help. I don't recognize it, Zay. Should I?
I don't know.
Who is it?
Donnie Iris. Sweet Murley.
No idea. Donnie Ivers?
Iris.
Iris,
yeah.
Donnie Iris. Yeah, I have no clue who that is.
Yeah, he has a smooth perm.
Smooth.
I had a smooth perm. I feel like.
Smooth perm from the 70s, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe 80s.
Fair enough. I was not familiar
With
with
the jacket that I'm looking at, this looks like an 80s vibe.
Okay. Donnie Iris gets us started today. Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. Let's see if we can help out your fantasy teams. He is J.D. Lewis, fantasy football expert, and yes, former Texas basketball great. We'll ask him about Gonzaga at some point. J.D., how are you?
Doing good, guys. How are y'all?
Man, we're
Doing
good.
good, man.
Very good. Zay's doing extra good because his Brett Favre Help the Daughter team is doing really well. Let's start there, Zay. What do you need?
All right, JD. I literally have the most buys ever for a team. Brady's on the buy. Tyler Lockett, Waddle, and Mostert, and then everybody else, Christian Kirk, Trevor Lawrence. So give me 3 guys from the main 3 positions, quarterback, wide receiver, and running back, I should consider picking up on the waiver wire.
So your waiver wire doesn't run until tomorrow?
I think it runs today, so I might be a little late.
So you're getting the scraps, you're getting the leftovers at this point. So I'll tell you, receiver I really like this week with Cooper Kupp going down. There's a big question about which receiver in LA is going to be the one that's going to be able to step up and kind of play that role. Is it going to be that Skowronek? Is it going to be Van Jefferson? Is it going to be Allen Robinson? And my gut tells me it's going to be Van Jefferson because he can play multiple positions in the wide receiver spot. I think Allen Robinson kind of has his role, and it's not that great. And I think Skowronek will be good, and I think Higbee will be probably the biggest recipient of this with his connection with Stafford, assuming Stafford's back, which he should be. It was a concussion last week that kept him out that I think was diagnosed a day later, which hurt his chances of getting back. So I would tell you Van Jefferson is a guy that might be available out there for
got
you.
Him. Already got him, JD. Already got him.
Boom.
Good looking out.
Love it. Okay, so quarterback, you're going to be kind of slim pickings on this one. I mean, you're probably looking at Kenny Pickett, Marcus Mariota. If there's anybody available that shouldn't be,
Kirk Cousins.
Snag him.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, you should get Kirk Cousins. Oh! Yeah, you should definitely snatch up him. There you go. Boom.
Wow.
Running back's going to be the more difficult, I think, equation to solve here. I'm probably going to tell you Isaiah Pacheco, if he's out there, is a guy that is ticking. His usage is ticking up, and so he's somebody that might pop. But there's not going to be a lot available. Brian Robinson Jr. might be out there. But yeah, I have no idea what you're going to be looking at.
Yeah, both those guys go, JD. I'm really going to have to do some serious digging, but I appreciate it.
Give me the top 3 projected for this week in your free agency.
We got Jerick McKinnon, Kansas City. My man JD McKinzick, the Commanders, and then Jaylen Warren, Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'd probably go Jaylen Warren, and just with the dart throw there, Najee Harris is going to play, but was a little bit hobbled. They're trying to get him more snaps anyways. All you're really hoping for out of that is 8 to 10 points, and I think Jaylen Warren can give that to you.
I'll take it. Appreciate it, JD. I'm good.
JD just said a dart throw. That's fantastic. All right, so Zay's team is good. Let's see if we can help y'all's teams out there. JD, this one says, PPR League with Cheetah out, pick 2. Devontae Smith, Brandon Cooks, Wan'Dale Robinson, Kadarius Toney. 2 of those.
Devonta Smith and Kadarius Toney. Those would be my 2.
Okay, fair enough.
That was quick.
I mean, I think Kadarius Toney's ready to pop. I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I just don't fully trust him yet. And it's not necessarily him. And he's got a great matchup against Detroit. But I don't want to gamble on when he's going to pop. And he's shown us that his floor is pretty low.
All right, JD. Somebody says, should they start Allen Robinson or Darnell Mooney, or keep Chris Olave as their wide receiver 2?
Keep Chris Olave there. again, I want to see the Rams situation shake out a little bit. I just don't see a significant uptick in usage from Allen Robinson. They're just not creative in how they use him, and he's not a guy that can all of a sudden get lined up all over the field the way that Cooper Kupp did. And so that's why I'm shying away from Allen Robinson. I'm going to go ahead and buy the hot hand here of the Chicago Bears and say that I'd go Olave, but then my second option would be Darnell Mooney.
All right, JD, PPR league, they need a flex player. Tony Pollard, Devin Duvernay, or Melvin Gordon?
I like Tony Pollard there, even if Zeke does come back this week. Coming off a knee injury, I can't imagine he comes back to a full workload. And so kind of worst case, you're getting probably 50%, probably a split carry backfield with Pollard handling the third down work. And so and I just think he has a better shot of getting in the end zone than those other guys. Duvernay, look, I love him, Texas guy, right? But just not consistent week to week. And that's just more of a function of the offense than anything. He can pop some weeks, but it's just not consistent week to week. And now I'm, at this point in the season, unless I'm really chasing upside, I want the floor, and that's Tony Pollard.
All right. Trade proposal. Somebody wants to trade DJ Metcalf for Pollard, and should they do that?
If you have the running back depth, yeah. I mean, if Pollard is your RB4 or RB5, probably. I do like DK Metcalf. I like him the rest of the way. Geno Smith played really well. They're on bye this week, and so maybe it's somebody in a position where they've got DK on bye. They need to get a win. They need to get a player for this week, and they're willing to give up DK for that. So as long as you have the running back depth to absorb that trade and it be okay, I'm good with that, because while I like Pollard and we've seen what his upside can be when Zeke is out, the Cowboys have been pretty truthful, I think, in how they've said that they don't want Pollard to handle that much of a workload. He tends to run out of gas towards the end of the game when that's the case, and so they want to keep him fresh and they want Zeke to pound. So I think you got another probably week left of good usage from Pollard, and then it gets back to that split situation, and DK's got way more upside in the PPR league.
Talking fantasy football with JD Lewis. JD, 10-team league, half-point PPR, couple quick ones. Mark Andrews or Conklin?
So I think Mark Andrews is trending towards playing this week, and assuming that he does play, you're playing him. It's a shoulder injury. It's not something that, there's like a big ramp-up time or anything with him. If he's healthy and he's going, the only real risk is re-injury. But aside from that, Mark Andrews is now, especially if Goddard and Ertz getting hurt over the past weekend, Ertz might miss the rest of the season. Goddard just got placed on the IR, so that's at least 4 weeks. The tight end landscape is just disgusting. So now if you have Kelsey or Mark Andrews, the advantage is even more steep, if you will. And so Mark Andrews, if he's playing, he needs to be in your lineup.
Okay, and Swift or Carter, same league?
That's a tougher one. The easy answer is Swift, and that's going to be my answer. But it's a much more difficult, I think, question. And the odds of those guys, either one of those guys, I think could outscore each other this week. Carter just has a little bit more consistent usage in that offense now with Breece Hall having gone down. So, I just think that's a pretty tough one. But yeah, I'd stick with the first guy. I'm trying to remember who that was.
Swift.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd go Swift. And I think his usage is ticking up. So, that's just my gut says Swift is going to get more touches this week.
All right, fair enough.
All right, JD, somebody asked if they should trade or should they accept a trade of Justin Fields when their quarterback is Justin Herbert. So they get Fields and they'll trade away Herbert.
I would not do that trade as much as I like Fields because that's a buy low on Herbert, especially if it's 6-point touchdown passes. I would rather be selling Fields right now. And look, Herbert has not been good to this point. I mean, it's been probably one of the worst statistical years of his short career so far. But it looks like Keenan Allen is practicing and maybe coming back this week. It looks like Mike Williams is practicing in a limited fashion and maybe back this week. Not that I expect a ton out of them, but if all of a sudden Josh Palmer is your third receiver and not your wide receiver one, that offense changes significantly. It gets much more dynamic. They can use Eckler even more than they have so far in the receiving game. So the upside for Herbert is the rest of the season. I think his worst games are behind him. But again, that's still kind of subject to these receivers coming back. If they don't come back this week, they're still coming back next week. So we're talking about a trade for the rest of the season. And between Herbert and Fields, I'd rather have Herbert, but it's a really close, tough call. It's a fair trade offer.
JD, anybody who watched the NFL last week is going to understand this question. Is Donovan Peoples-Jones legit?
I think he is. I mean, I think he's legitimately the number 2 option in the passing game in Cleveland right now. But what you're going to see, I mean, there's I could argue both sides of this, because with Deshaun Watson coming back in week 13, you would think that the upside for Peoples-Jones goes up more. We don't know what kind of chemistry Deshaun Watson has with Peoples-Jones, and I feel like he'll be probably getting the ball to Amari Cooper a lot more. I do like the talent. I think there's upside there. I just believe that, and again, Watson coming in could help that passing game significantly, which increases DPP's value, or DPJ's value quite a bit as well. So there's something to it. But you still have David Njoku, who's going to come back in the next probably week or two, and he really is the number 2 receiving option in that offense when healthy. And so I like it. I like the hype. I think it's a good dart throw, but it's not a guy that I'm like running out to try and get because I expect him to be good in the next week or two. It's a more of a fantasy playoff run that guy could hit if all the stars align correctly.
All right.
Higbee or Pitts, JD, PPR?
Hey, welcome to my world. I picked up Higbee in free agency in a league, and I have Kyle Pitts, and I picked up Higbee to start him over Kyle Pitts. I think it's close. I think Higbee's probably the 6 or 7 tight end, and assuming that Stafford's back, Pitts has got great usage, man. Mariota just cannot get him the ball. It's so crazy when you've got a 6'6" tight end with the longest wingspan that we've seen, and he's getting the ball thrown over his head on wide open crossing routes. I mean, it's unbelievable, but it's Mariota is the problem. And so the gamble with Pitts is too much. I like the floor of Tyler Higbee, assuming Stafford's back. I think with Kupp gone, Higbee was really Stafford's number 2 guy. So does he become his number 1 guy along with, Van Jefferson or one of those other receivers? I think so. And so I expect a lot of targets. I expect a good amount of receptions, and maybe he gets a touchdown, but he provides, one of the better floors, I think, going forward. This week, I'm going Higbee over Kyle Pitts.
All right, one more from me, JD. This says Kadarius Toney, Jacoby Myers, or Nyheim Hines, flex full point PPR.
So I would pull Nyheim Hines out of there. We just haven't seen his usage. 31 inches of snow projected up in Buffalo. I have no idea how that's going to impact the passing game.
God.
Yeah, it's going to be nasty. So I would take him out of the equation. I like Kadarius Toney. I think that assuming that Juju Smith-Schuster, it's hard to imagine if you guys saw that hit that he took. He was concussed, and the arms were T-Rexing and everything. So I don't think he's going to play this week, and if he doesn't play, that means that Kadarius Toney is going to be more involved, and I like the upside play with him.
Last one for me too, JD. 12-man PPR trade. Give away Justin Fields, seems like the hot commodity, for Deebo Samuel and Garrett Wilson because they have Dak Prescott on the bench, and he would take Justin Fields' place.
I like the way that Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense is trending right now. I think they have a legit shot at getting Odell Beckham. Schultz is back and healthy again. The running game's getting going. So I like what I'm seeing out of Dak there. So I totally get the trade. I would probably do that. Now, I think the challenge you run into is what we're seeing is that Deebo Samuel is not nearly as consistent this year as he has been in years past. And so I worry about that. So it's a good trade. I would still shop and see if I could get something better, if I could get a bigger, because for somebody to get Justin Fields that needs a quarterback, it is brutal in the quarterback landscape this year. You have leverage if you have Fields in a trade. So I would use that leverage on any team, and there's got to be at least 2 or 3 teams that need a quarterback, and just go work those teams and get the best deal you possibly can. I think you can do better. Would I accept that? Yeah. Is it worth making the other team that much better with Fields? Maybe not. Maybe it's better with a running quarterback to keep him, start him over Dak, and Dak is your safety net if Fields gets hurt because he is a running quarterback. We do see those guys get hurt.
All right, remember, if you didn't get your fantasy question answered or asked, or you just come up with another one, at JD Lewis FF for fantasy football, at JD Lewis FF. He will help you with your fantasy football stuff. Real quick, JD, we know you're focused in on Texas basketball tonight with Gonzaga. What do you want to know about these Longhorns? Obviously, you want to win. Can Texas what against Gonzaga? What's the most important thing to you? What do you want to find out?
I think it's dictating the pace of the game. I think that Texas, I think what we'll want to do, I mean, I know we can run, but I know Gonzaga's really good at running and speeding the game up. And you don't want that when you play a team like that, especially the way that this Texas team plays. I mean, they get after it defensively. So I think that you're going to see, a more methodical approach, taking time on offense, getting good shots, not getting caught up in a really quick game and whatnot. And slow it down. Now, we also know that Gonzaga can play slow it down ball. They've got Drew Timme down low. So that's going to be, key point number one, slow Gonzaga down. Number two, or really 1B, I would say, you got to figure out a way to slow down Drew Timme. He can score in such a variety of ways. We've got to get a guy that can defend him. And I don't know if that means, doubling him every time he touches the ball and making other guys beat you. But I think that those are the two key points in the game tonight, is just getting after it defensively, forcing turnovers, getting easy buckets as a result of that, but controlling the pace of the game and controlling, Drew Timme, keep him from going off.
That is JD Lewis, again, at JD Lewis FF for those fantasy football questions. JD, best of luck this week on all the games, and I know Isaiah wants to thank you once again for all your help. And
Good looking out, JD.
And so do the people.
Yeah, Zay, are you 8-2, Zay?
8-2, baby, feeling good.
Oh my gosh, man! Yeah, you're already looking at week 14, 15, and 16 or whatever to start to work on that playoff schedule. That's what you need to be looking at, especially with some of these other pickups.
I definitely. Thank you, man.
There you go.
Go look at it. Go look for a defense. If you got a roster spot, go find that defense that's got 2 or 3 good matchups during the playoffs and go ahead and stash them.
Ooh, good looking out. I'm
there
gonna keep
you go.
that to the chest.
Always good. Always good ideas coming from JD. JD, enjoy it, man. Hopefully Texas will get a big win tonight, and we'll talk about it next week.
Thanks, guys. Hook 'em.
Good stuff, J.D. Lewis. By the way, this is just a random text that came in. I don't know exactly what it means, but I'll just read it. This says, J.D., no comment this week other than I have the second most points, yet sit in 6th place. I did pick up Massage Boy over the waiver wire this week. I think we all know who that is. Okay. Justin Wells of Inside Texas coming up at 1:05. We'll dig back into the Longhorns, what he saw in the TCU loss that concerns him. What are the positives they're taking to Kansas with him? Does he think they'll beat the Jayhawks? That's coming up at 1:05. Up next in the crap bag, a reminder that I think Sark needs to pay attention to. You Longhorn fans will not enjoy it, but I think your head coach needs to think about it. Plus, I've got a Twitter gift and question for Zay and all of you Longhorn fans, because there's another UT that's giving you an idea right now. I just want to know yes or no. That's next on the Horn. All right. This is going to be weird because I'm hoping I can come up with it. Is this Mark McGrath's band? Is this that band?
I don't know who that is. What band was he in?
Oh my God. The every morning there's a halo hanging on the girlfriend's 4-post bed. What are they called?
Yes, this is Mark McGrath's band.
It is Mark McGrath's band. No, I don't have it.
Sugar Ray.
Oh, good grief. There it is. Okay. Sugar Ray. So sad.
90s kills you.
I think we're just watching my brain melt right in front of us here on the show today. Apparently, I called Tom Izzo Mike Izzo earlier during the break. I was trying to think of Jordan Davis of the Eagles, and I called him Jordan Lewis. And now I can't come up with Mark McGrath and Sugar Ray. What is going on? Sugar Ray and Donnie Iris get us started today musically. I'm Chad, I think. I think that's Isaiah Collier in there. We are talking a lot of football today, just helping folks with the fantasy team stuff. You can go back and check that out in the hour one of the podcast, but also you can send your Twitter questions to @JDLewisFF for fantasy football. He will help you out. All right, let's get into the crap bag because I got a question for Zay and Longhorn fans that just came up, and I have some numbers for you on Kansas. Here we go.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
All right, brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Before I have Zay open up that Twitter thing I sent him, just some reminders. Longhorn fans, you may want to plug your ears, but Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorn coaching staff, you need to remember what happened last year because Kansas came to your place and they hung 57 on you. You lost the game, and here are some stats from it. Everyone think about what we've been watching as I say this. Texas had 49 pass attempts and 32 rushing attempts. Bijan Robinson had 14 carries. Now, I know it was 35-14 at the half and you had to chase him down. I get it. I'm just giving you the facts. Kansas had 35 minutes of time of possession by the end of the game. Texas had 10 penalties at home. They had 4 turnovers at home. You're going on the road this time. And Texas had 574 total yards and lost the football game. By the way, you heard Zay say Jalen Daniels earlier. If Jalen Daniels is back at quarterback, his QBR last year was 94.1 against Texas. If you have any part of your brain that still thinks of this as some lowly, weak Kansas team, you need to change the way you're thinking. Their running back, Devin Neal, is 7th in the country in yards per carry at 6.7. Does their defense have horrific numbers? Yeah, they do. 117 total, 93 against the rush, 118 against the pass. But you know what, Zay? TCU had some ugly numbers on defense, and Texas didn't do anything about that. Nope. So what would make us believe they're going to go do anything about it in Lawrence, Kansas?
Yeah, you talk about Devin Neal, who had 4 total touchdowns against the Horns last year. You know, he's from Lawrence. They love him there. We talk about all the running backs in this league, Deuce Vaughn, Kendre Miller, obviously Bijan Robinson, but we should talk about him more because he's nice with it. Yeah. He is really good, and him and Jalen Daniels together, that could be a problem. And yeah, I with the weather in effect, like who knows what Longhorn team are we going to see, or is it going to be complimentary football? Are we going to see that? Because we've seen the offense thrive and then the defense give up middle of the field, long big yard gangs and have bad games. And then we saw this past weekend the defense thrive, 14 total tackles for loss, and then 5 total sacks, and then the offense only puts up 3 points. So this team has just been so inconsistent, which has been so frustrating covering the team and being a Texas fan because you see the talent. The talent is not 6-4, and it's just, damn, you're not going to have Bijan Robinson next year. This team, talent-wise, could be worse, so you got to capitalize on all the opportunities. You can't say this Longhorn team has this year, and that's what's been disappointing. So going into Lawrence, I'm with you, Chad. I don't know which team we're going to get, so it's hard to determine who's going to win this game. You would think Bijan Robinson, let's go back, since we're going back to Kansas. Hopefully Steve Sarkisian sees those old roads. Like, you know what? Last time we were here, Bijan had 30-something carries, 209 yards. Let's get back to that because you just pointed out the defensive stats for Kansas ain't the best.
No, that is what they should go after. By the way, weather report right now, sunny and a high of 35 on Saturday. It is a day game. Wind, northwest, 10 to 20 miles an hour.
Run the ball.
Maybe the coldest moment I've ever had in my life was when wind hit me in Lawrence, Kansas, man. It's a different thing. I am telling you, it is something. Low of 17 that night, so you're going to get some of that as it heads from 35 down to 17. By the time it gets to the low, obviously the game will be over, but we'll see how that could affect Texas.
You're with the Longhorns women. And Coach Conrad, who's as tough as nails, if she's out here, shivering and stuff, then it's cold.
And that's when I knew the temperature was one thing, but knowing everywhere she'd been, driving up and down the roads and driving the team, and she was the athletic director and helping build women's basketball, whatever. When I saw that look on her face, tell you what, the boy from Waxahachie and the girl from Goldthwaite, we wanted to get home to Texas right then. It was so cold. Texas going to Lawrence this weekend. All right, Zay, go to your Twitter and click on that link CB sent us. I want to know, as a Longhorn fan, one game against a mid-range team.
No, stop
Just
it.
one game, because Tennessee is giving you the template. This weekend, Tennessee's going to wear an orange helmet. Apparently they did this back in the late 40s. First time since 49. They're playing South Carolina. Orange helmet, the white tee, the white jerseys. They're at South Carolina, by the way, so this tells us South Carolina wants to wear their colors. The question I have, Zay, is are they going to go orange pants or are they going to go white pants? I'm guessing they're going to go white all the way down there. So one time, mid-range team, would you ever consider it as a Texas fan?
Hell no.
Say a hell no.
Hell no. For them, this looks good. But picturing that burnt orange, I can't see it.
Oh, man. Longhorn fans, go check it out on Twitter. You know that the crap bag is a uniform snob, and I love the helmets and love all these things. So go check it out at C. Hastings 1049. And you tell me, I'm guessing most Longhorn fans will echo Zay's hell no on that. 105 means Justin Wells on a Wednesday. Justin of Inside Texas coming up. We'll talk more Longhorns and Kansas as we get ready for the trip to Lawrence. Is Justin picking the Longhorns to bounce back and get the 7th win? You're about to find out on the Horn. Oh, yeah, hour number 2. Let those strings take effect, Mr. Mayfield. It is time for hour number 2 on a Wednesday. We're getting closer to Texas and Kansas. We're getting closer to the Cowboys and the Vikings as the two brands we deal with around here. The two circus tents try to deal with therapy week and figure out what in the world happened back then last week and try to figure out how to turn it around this week. Chad and Zay with you on a Wednesday. Of course, that means just like every day, when we're done, it's Ball Don't Lie with Rod and Harge. We'll get you that Wednesday night lineup coming up. We'll get you the flex segment at 1:30. Right now, though, we are going to dig in on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline with one of our favorite conversations each week. It is Justin Wells of Inside Texas on 3.com. Let's talk some Longhorns and maybe even mix in some Cowboys. Justin, how are you?
Hey, gentlemen. It was last weekend was a little rough. We get this cold weather that hit East Texas, hit a lot of Texas. And, man, it was, aside from the freezing rain, I love the cold. I love this football weather. And then we got slammed with some reality on Saturday and Sunday. And I got to tell you, I'm still in the recovery state.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to say it. I think some cold, hard truth hit the Longhorns and Cowboys, and we'll dig through maybe both of those things with you. Let's start with Texas. Obviously, everything was set up in such a big way, and game days in town and all of that. And then just one of the weirdest, ugliest first halves breaks out, Justin, that I wasn't expecting. What did you make of it by the end?
Well, I mean, if you're referring to the first half on the offensive side, I would venture to say that carried over the entire game.
Yeah.
That was the most unexpected. If you were to tell me that it was going to be a close, high-scoring game and it could go either way, and it was going to be in the 40s, I would have completely believed that. If you said, yeah, the TCU got the best of the defense, and even though the Horns scored a bunch, this has kind of been this was the takeaway. It was polar opposite. It was like Bizarro World on Seinfeld. All of a sudden, the offense couldn't find itself or a first down marker or the end zone. And the defense, it looks like it's been getting tendency help in team meetings from Gary Patterson all last week. It was definitely something that, you know what? It was a weird game, guys. And I don't want to bemoan on the offense, but the defense to me was tremendous. And that's a good offense they faced. And I felt like it wasn't just playing well and playing to the scheme. It was also rallying to the ball. It was attempting to force turnovers. It was going toe-to-toe with the number 4 team in the country. I think TCU showed they're that good of a team. They're certainly that solid and that well coached. And they're certainly in that conversation, in my opinion. But it was not what I expected on Saturday. I thought it would be a high-scoring affair. I thought it was going to be a close game. I took the under. I thought that not so much under, Texas covering. I didn't think it would even be that much. It was going to be close. I mean, the game still was close. It was a one-score game, even though the offense didn't give you any semblance of scoring whatsoever. At the end of the day, Bijan Robinson, no carries, no touches on both first and goal series. That was, I believe, 6-7 plays they ran, 8 plays, no touches for Bijan. I have no idea what the mindset is there. I'm not paid to make those decisions, but I'm certainly confused, probably as much as Bijan was.
Yeah, it's just very questionable. I mean, Steve Sarkisian, he's known to be this big-time play caller and drawing up plays and whatnot, but not to give Bijan Robinson the ball in those situations is just odd. And that goes to my next question, Justin Wells. Putting up only 3 points, that's unacceptable. I know this TCU team is good, but that's still unacceptable. Does Sark just wear too many hats here at the University of Texas where you have so much responsibility on and off the field? Does maybe him being a play caller is just not going to work and he's going to have to bring in somebody else later on?
No, I really don't think it's that. I don't think that's an issue, at least not yet. I don't see that as something that needs to be addressed right now. I think what you need to see is growth at the quarterback position. I think we've seen some real highs and lows of Quinn Ewers, and that's because he's a freshman playing for the first time in years, and he's learning the speed of the game. He even admitted he'd gotten lazy in some of his mechanics. A lot of times he's not stepping into the ball with his feet because he has such a tremendous arm. Well, you can get away with that in high school. You can't get away with that in college. I think, like Chad said, this cold, hard truth Wednesday, I think Quinn Ewers is having a lot of that right now the last few days in video sessions and trying to retune himself and refine himself because we know he can be that quarterback. We've already seen him do that this year. I don't think it's Sark in a play calling sense. I am still befuddled that Bijan Robinson only touched the ball 12 times. And to me, I think last year he had his career high in touches against TCU, which helped him out, in a win. So this to me was backwards. It was almost overthinking it to a sense. But I think if Quinn plays a little bit better, I think if the receivers outside of Jordan Whittington play a little bit better, if they finish a few more routes, maybe going on the deep post every sixth or seventh play isn't the call, especially when number 8 is bracketed every time with 2 guys. That is a staple of defenses they see, on Saturdays. So right now, I don't think we're at any sort of stage with Sark and play calling and need to relieve duties or find another a capable OC. I think Sark can wear that hat right now. It's really hard to find the balance of offense and defense. And so I give PK credit. Those guys on that side of the ball really played well. They kept Texas in the ball game as much as the offense didn't. And so at the end of the day, Sark, right now, I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's something you really need to address. I think you just need to see more development in the offense. I think you need to see some fine-tuning with Quinn Ewers. I think you need to use who's going to be the number 1 tailback drafted in the 2023 NFL draft. Why don't you use him? You got him 2-3 more games. I would strongly suggest using a guy who was literally probably going to have at least a seat in New York for the Heisman ceremony before that TCU game. And now you can all forget that. To me, that's the bigger issue.
Well, and Justin, it's be interesting to see, does he go back to the last time Tom Herman was in control of Bijan Robinson against Kansas in Lawrence? He gave him the ball a lot, and it was a good day for Texas, and it was a successful day. But last year was the crazy one. Bijan had 14 carries. He did have 3 catches in the game, but Texas gives up the 57. 35 minutes of time of possession for Kansas, as I mentioned earlier. And I think that's the kind of game Kansas wants to play here. Keep the ball from Texas. Do you think Steve Sarkisian is going to pack 25, 30 carries for Bijan and try to make it that kind of game like we saw 2 years ago?
You would hope so, in a sense. Now, first off, when you mentioned Tom Herman and Bijan, he gets no credit for that whatsoever because Tom Herman had that joker sitting on the shelf for 3 months.
That's true.
His freshman year before he played him. And if you ask any of those players inside the program, should Bijan Robinson have been playing early his freshman year, you would have had a collective yes. So first of all, Tom Herman, he gets crossed out on the Bijan Robinson sweepstakes.
All right.
Now, against Kansas, this is going to be tough because, of course, you're going to want to lean on Bijan and Rashawn. Listen, you got 2 guys that are going to be toting the rock in some sense in the league next year. Use them. But here's the problem. With Quinn kind of regressing the last few weeks, with Quinn not looking as good, the receivers not looking as great outside of Jordan Whittington and a few spark plays by Worthy, you're looking at an 11-man box. Now, you've heard of the 8-man, 9-man. Yeah, they load the box against the run. Kansas may break all the rules and just put 11 in the box. They forget the corners. Go ahead and just focus on 5 and 2. Because I think this is a game, people are going to say run the dang ball. This might be an instance where you instead of using the word dang, you get a little bit more graphic because that has to happen. Jalen Daniels could be back. KU is a much better team than they were in the past. They are very well coached. They have some talent. Devin Neal is a dude that will give you problems. And so right now, their Texas focus should be not just getting points in the end zone. What they've been, 8 quarters in the second half. They haven't scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Their focus needs to be that right there, figuring out ways to scheme open those guys and get those points in the second half. Get the offense back on track. The best way to do that, like Quinn said in the preseason, turn around and hand it to the best player in the country.
Yep.
Jay Wells, this defense was terrific on Saturday. 14 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, only 17 points allowed. And it's frustrating because it's kind of like, where's that defense been all year, especially with Deshaun Jamison out and Terrence Brooks coming in. And now you got Gary Patterson rumors to Nebraska, which is ironic of the time where Texas defense looks the best. But what did this defense show you this past Saturday?
They showed me what we kind of saw a glimpse of early in the year. When they're healthy, for the most part, they're great. This was a much improved defense. The offense was pretty good last year. That carryover didn't change much, except they were just a little better, they're a little more explosive and so much stronger at the offensive line. The defense, this is what we saw earlier in the year against some good teams, not just Alabama. UTSA has been a strong team. We saw them do incredible against OU. These guys have had their chances. Now, what I love seeing, you hate seeing Deshaun Jamison missing the game. What you love seeing is Terrence Brooks stepping in and playing. I think I had him at 67, 68 snaps. That's a lot for a guy that usually gets about 2 to 4. And you have to understand, Brooks is an up and coming. Okay, this is a guy that's on the rise. He will be a future strong corner / defensive back. I get a Nathan Vasher vibe from him in the future. So I think the secondary is going to be good. And it was a little more healthy. You had Anthony Cook a couple weeks after the broken forearm. You've got Jaron Thompson, who's playing at an all-conference level. And you've got Ryan Watts that's playing at a really high level right now, to the point where he's got that spot locked down. And so I think the defense deserves credit. I think the secondary being a little bit more healthy, because we've seen the front seven play well. We've seen Jalen Ford put in his vote for Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. We've seen Overshown go sideline to sideline. And that interior line is probably the strength of Andre Sweat, Keandre Coburn, Byron Murphy, Moro Ojomo, Alfred Collins, Vernon Broughton. Those guys have brought it, and they've been solid. But it was the secondary, I felt like, that kind of rose to the level, that played well, that held Quentin Johnston for the most part, that frustrated Max Duggan. It was the pressures from a Barron Sorrell, who once again stepped up and showed that he is going to be a force on this defense next year and beyond for the Longhorns. So it was good to see a team. We saw this defense a little bit earlier in the year. It was good to see it kind of flash back to where that was. I think it was also, despite the fact Jamison was out, it was kind of more of a healthier bunch. Austin Jordan's another DB. That's a corner / nickel / safety, but I feel like can do a lot of stuff back there. The future is bright in that secondary, and the TCU takeaway for me was that those guys actually have some really good guys back there, and I can't wait to see what they look like next fall.
Talking with Justin Wells, Inside Texas, on3.com. All right, Justin, let me get a Cowboys question in here. If I tell you they lose at I know. If I tell you they lose at Lambeau,
damn it!
If I tell you they lose in Lambeau to Aaron Rodgers, that's one thing, and you might be able to live with it. But if I tell you they blow a 14-point lead going to the fourth quarter for the first time in the history of the franchise, it's a little different. Give me your temperature on the Cowboys right now.
Yeah, buddy. If the Texas TCU game on Saturday night wasn't a gut punch, man, just come right back with a Mike Tyson jab on Sunday evening. I was feeling good. I felt like they played well for 3 quarters. Tony Pollard, to me, just continues to separate himself as one of the best young running backs in the league. I thought the offensive line was finally gelling. They were finally clicking. Dak wasn't trying to do too much. CeeDee Lamb decided to act like a number 1 receiver and had a tremendous game. So I'm thinking this is all pretty good. Everything's kind of going as according to plan. The Packers are on a 5-game losing streak. Aaron Rodgers is a giant brat. It looks like he's on shrooms half the time. So this ought to work out. This should work out. And then Christian Watson happened, the guy from the Dakota that everybody talked about during pre-draft, and had been injured and had some hard time, kind of adjusting to the NFL game and the speed and the nuance of the position. he has a coming out party at a spot where Dallas, the defense, who's been great all year, has a weakness. You know, losing a couple guys in that secondary has really hurt the Cowboys in the back end. I felt like when you can run the ball like Green Bay did, that really utilized and it really put Micah Parsons and those guys in a box. And you won't see that much from teams, from a Green Bay team, from an Aaron Rodgers team, but leaning on guys like A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones was big. And so I give the Packers credit. Look, I'm a big fan of Matt LaFleur, and I thought he made some really good second-half adjustments, whereas on the other end, Mike McCarthy did not. Yeah. And Dak's pick in overtime was one of those that he just forced it. I really think, you and I talked about this. Losing Amari Cooper was bad, but as long as you replaced him, you were good. And Michael Gallup is a guy that's going to be a guy whenever he's on the field, but they never replaced him, Chad. They just didn't. That's why you hear all the talk about Odell Beckham Jr. It's not Noah Brown. It's not some of the guys there. That's the reason the Cowboys lost on Sunday. And CeeDee Lamb, I think he went for 10, 11 catches, 160, 170 yards. He had a tremendous game. But there was no other option on the other end. And like you said, going to Green Bay is bad enough. Losing to Aaron Rodgers is bad enough. It just was a gut punch to the Sunday evening.
No doubt.
Justin Wells, tonight is a huge basketball game down at the Mood. This is why the Mood is there for games like this, with Gonzaga coming into town, second in the nation. Texas is at 11. How do you like the Horns in this matchup?
Zay, we've been waiting for this one. You and I have been talking about this one for a while, and a lot of my good buddies, basketball buddies, they've been waiting for this game. And I've tried to tell most of them, please understand, this is going to be a fantastic opportunity in a fantastic arena, in a fantastic atmosphere and environment. This is going to be what Texas basketball wants to be, in my opinion. This sort of game, this sort of get together. But buddy, I'm gonna tell you, Gonzaga's good. Gonzaga's good enough to get down 30 points on a boat and come back and win. Gonzaga's good enough to where Drew Timme has some of the best feet in a big man I can remember in college basketball. He's got a lot of Christian Laettner to his game. Timme is a force. Now, Gonzaga's a little different. I think you could tell by the first few games that they're missing some of those guys that went to the league, especially RJ. But at the end of the day, I think it'll be close simply because Chris Beard teams don't get blown out. They always play intense, solid defense, overplay, deliberate, trying to create tempo, create turnovers. They're so active and strong on the defensive end. The key in this game is going to be who can limit Timme, because Texas has some guys on the block, but they're not his size and they're not his skill. And so to me, it's going to be kind of countering that on the defensive end. How many guys do you throw at him? Is it more of an aggregate rather than one or two post players? I'd like to see what Mitchell looks like down there, even though it's probably somewhat of a mismatch right now. D-Shoe's probably going to have his best time. Timmy Allen as well. The key is going to be Tyrese Hunter. Does Tyrese Hunter continue to play like we thought he was going to play? Does Tyrese Hunter play like he did? He was just named to the top 50 watch list for the John Wooden Award. We're posting that at InsideTexas.com here pretty quick. And listen, Hunter is the key. If he can play like he has the first two games, I think they'll be okay. They're going to have to hit shots. That's what this whole thing will come down to. The defense will be good. The atmosphere, the environment's going to be great. Can they hit shots? If Texas hits some shots early, it'll be a fun night. If they have a hard time, especially behind the arc like they have the first two games, this one might be a slugfest towards the end.
It is in the name of the sport, basketball. Things go better when the ball goes in the basket. If it doesn't, things go worse a lot of the time.
Oh, God, Chad.
That is going to be big. He's right.
I'm glad Jay Wells thought that was as corny as I did. Wow.
It is corny, but it's true. It's a whole lot easier when you are making shots. We'll see if Texas can make some shots against the Zags tonight. Justin Wells, we always appreciate the time, brother. We'll hit you next week. Hopefully we will not have to talk about that much Longhorn and Cowboy sadness at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not. I need to mentally prepare for these sessions. It feels like therapy with you guys after a weekend like that.
Yeah.
I was laying on the couch this whole time. Y'all didn't see me. I'm laying on the couch, kind of staring at the ceiling doing this interview. It's therapy for me. It's that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I tell you what. You know what? Since I know how much it can make you happy, just go pull up a tape of my Aggies trying to tackle somebody right now. It'll make you feel better. I promise.
Hey, I don't want to jump on the pile that is terrible dung in College Station right now. No need to pile on a team that is 2-9 in their last 11 against FBS opponents. There's no reason to pile on the dumpster fire that continues in College Station. I just don't want to be that guy, Chad.
Yeah, there's no need for all that math. Really, no need for it at all, Justin Wells. I appreciate you, sir. Have a good weekend.
Got that.
Thanks, Jay Wells.
I hadn't heard that one. What did he say? 2-9 in the last 11 against an FBS? That doesn't need to be real. Please, nobody go count that up. He's probably right. That's crazy. Somebody texted about A&M scheduling UMass this week. Yes, it's Pillow Weekend.
They have no choice.
It's Pillow Weekend in the SEC. I'm not sure if they
mandatory.
No, that's a great point. I don't know if they have no choice. Your Longhorns may get to find out. I've wondered that about Texas and Oklahoma. Once you get in the conference, can you choose not to schedule? Bama's playing Austin Peay this weekend. A&M is playing A&M's playing UMass. What's the other one I really loved? There's at least it's everybody except about 3 games. Georgia plays Kentucky. There's a couple other disguise games, and then the rest is there. I'll pull it up, and UAB's all right, I guess, for LSU. But come on, we know what you're doing when you schedule UAB.
Yeah, this is the week that the SEC schedules teams that I lie about when I tell people I used to play back in my day, because they wrongfully assume that with my weight and height, I was a player in football, so I have to go along with it and lie. Middle Eastern Tech.
Yeah, it's like stuff you make up.
Middle Eastern Tennessee Tech.
Yeah.
You just got to make up something. And, those are the teams that they play. So we'll see when Texas gets in, but I feel like it's a part of the code, like bro code, like you better do this.
Yeah, just for the record, it's UMass, Austin Peay, East Tennessee State, Western Kentucky, and New Mexico State and UAB. Those are the teams playing SEC teams in the Pillow Weekend.
Who's Kentucky got this week? I feel like they actually have an SEC game.
Yeah, that's Georgia. See, that's the disguise games. You're supposed to focus on that. Focus on Georgia and Kentucky on CBS. Don't look anywhere else. Tennessee's at South Carolina, and Ole Miss is at Arkansas. Outside of that, don't look at anything.
We got to ask B. Jones if it's like a mandatory thing, or do they really schedule this? Because it's weird. Just always at this time. It's a weird time to do this. I get preseason.
No, you know why? Because all the rival games come next week. Bama gets to do this before the Iron Bowl. LSU gets to do it. LSU and A&M do it before they play each other. That's why they do it. They put it here. It's not a bye, but it is that game where you're hoping it's 38-3 at the half and you can rest your guys in the second half.
That's weak, SEC.
That's the point.
I get it. All right.
It is weak.
I get it, but I don't get it.
And I hope your Longhorns and the Sooners stand up to it, but I don't know if they will, because on the other side of it, if they let you, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why would you purposely beat yourself up on November 19th? Why would you do that? If they're letting you schedule garbage, why wouldn't you want to schedule some garbage? They may need to figure that out moving forward. All right, there's Justin Wells. We appreciate his time. We're super late. Let's get to the flex segment next. Volleyball teams in the Final Four and your flex pregame getting you started on Friday. Second round of the playoffs. We'll tell you where you can find the full schedule next on The Horn. feel like I should have the devil horns in the air. So see, this is why my hands are comfortable doing the hook 'em horn sign, because when I first saw them, it was at the metal shows. We were just throwing them up. Just see a bunch of people with long hair just going crazy. Oh, man. I think we're about to take a little turn. Look at this. This is right up my alley. We going to get it's Ronnie James Dio.
Yo, that was quick.
Now I just have to figure out. Now this sounds like straightforward. Just Dio would be my guess.
What do you mean, just Dio?
Like
the group Dio?
Like, is the label Dio, or is this Black Sabbath with him?
It's a Sabbath.
Sabbath with him. Okay, all right. That's the only distinctions I can't make sometimes with him. But there's nobody else sings like that dude. Nobody. I mean, that little guy, and he's little too.
Yeah, you said that.
Little
last
Italian
time.
dude. Little Italian dude, like 5'6", 5'7". Actually, that's too much. I think he's more like 5'5". Little bitty dude, but one of the biggest voices in the history of that realm. So a little Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio. Gotta love that. All right, so Sabbath, Sugar Ray, and Donnie Iris. Hell of a combo already with Chad and Zay on a Wednesday. Longhorns getting ready for Kansas. In football, Cowboys getting ready for the Vikings, and of course, on the basketball floor tonight, it is Texas and Gonzaga, 8:30 tip, 8 o'clock pregame. That means the Longhorn Blitz podcast going to fit in nicely from 7 to 8 like it always does. Jeff and Rod and Matt breaking down Longhorn football for an hour, and then you get to Texas basketball pregame. It's going to be a great night. Just keep it right here on the Horn. Once we're done, Ball Don't Lie, Rod Babers, Mike Harge, just roll you through your Wednesday. Lots of good stuff on the board.
Yo, all right, people. Y'all can stop congratulating me for the other Isaiah Collier, the really good basketball player that I wish I was. He's literally living my life with my name.
Dude, I was happy for you with that NIL deal. I'm glad you showed up to work today. I really thought like, ooh, maybe Zay's done.
Hey, I mean, one thing that I'm disappointed in, he had no chance of coming to Texas. Why? Because he knew there's only one Isaiah Collier big enough for this city. So I apologize to Chris Beard and Longhorn faithful. That's on me. That's on me for not getting the number one point guard in that class, because come on. I mean, Isaiah Collier here, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but he didn't want that type of competition. And so he said, I'm going to go to Southern Cal and make a living in Los Angeles.
So this is a big-time basketball recruit named Isaiah Collier. He spells his first name wrong, though,
yes,
correct?
Yeah, he spells it wrong. He spells it the biblical way. I'm named after Zeke Thomas. So who's the real hooper now?
There you go.
How about that?
Yours is spelled a basketball way.
Yeah.
His is spelled the Bible way.
Exactly. And that's why I spell my name on Twitter, Isaiah Jordan Collier, so people know once he goes to the league, it becomes way more famous than I could even imagine. People know the difference. Kind of like Michael B. Jordan.
Yes,
you know, Michael B. Jordan, he's doing his thing.
You're going to be the Michael B. Jordan or that other Vanessa Williams. Remember her back in the day?
There's another Vanessa Williams?
There were two Vanessa Williams. If you look them up, there's like a Vanessa Williams, and I think it's a Vanessa L. Williams, and you might know her. She was in The Cosby Show. The woman who played Jade. The girlfriend later on, the girlfriend of not
Theo's girlfriend,
the one remember when he was at college and he was with Justine, but then the girl that was the actress that he kind of got attracted to and kissed her, and Justine saw him kiss her. Not that I ever watched this show, you can tell.
I watched the Cosby Show a little bit. Clearly, it was before my time.
You look her up, you'll know who I'm talking about.
Nick at Night reruns. I'll look her up.
You look her up. You'll know who I'm talking about. But so now we're just going to call this recruit the other Isaiah Collier.
Yeah.
He'll be the other Zay Collier.
That's what I'm saying. Chris Beard had no chance. Zero chance.
No chance.
Once he went talk to him, said, hey, man, I know there's a Isaiah Collier down to ATX already. He has, some type of Texas ties. I don't know the, full details, but that's just too much for me. Sorry, Coach Beard. Yeah. So that's all me. All me, Coach Beard, Coach Terry, Chappelle, the whole crew. That's all me for not getting the Isaiah Collier recruit down here.
Oh, that is fantastic.
My fault, y'all.
All right. Let's get you a little flex here. We'll give some love to teams going after state titles and get you ready for the second round of the football playoffs. Here we go.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit brainvault.com and join the movement.
All right, FLXATX.com, and you can go there. There's an article on the 2 volleyball teams that have advanced to state. They're going to play Friday. It's separate divisions. You got Dripping Springs in 6A and Liberty Hill in 5A, both going after state titles. Flex has some cool videos of them celebrating after getting their, what would that be, their area championships, and then you go into that. Is that how that works? But they are headed towards the Final Four, so best of luck to those volleyball teams. Zay, we got some nasty good volleyball in this area.
Yeah, we do.
Got some teams that can play now.
Yeah, a lot of talent, a lot of girls that could get up. And, yeah, there's always been crazy talent here. They play year-round with their select and club teams. So, yeah, how can you not have these good teams on the high school ranks?
And we've been telling you about these players on our all-flex volleyball team that are going to end up, they've already committed and or either committed or signed to go to schools like Tennessee and San Jose State and headed out to the West Coast to play some other places. So, congrats to all those players. Best of luck to Dripping Springs and Liberty Hill trying to bring home a state title. Remember, Flex pregame show for football is 6:30 on Friday night. All 3 of our Austin Radio Network teams play at 7:30. You've got Vandergrift taking on Converse Judson. You got LBJ taking on PNG, Port Neches Groves, and Lake Travis looking for revenge against Cibolo Steel. Steel got them in the regular season. That's why they're 11-0. Can Lake Travis get them? Lake Travis is not getting them at home, but they're getting them to their area. They're at the field in Pflugerville for that one. If you go to FLXATX.com and click on schedule, you can see where a lot of these games are going to be in the area. So if you want to get out to a game, if you're a Lockhart fan, you can see that you're at Alamo Stadium in San Antonio. And you can go check out those other locations at FLXATX.com.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I want to get to Kelly Reeves or do I want to go to the field. Field and see Lake Travis take on Steel. That'll be a tough one to decide. I'm going to one of them.
All I know is go Vipers, go Tigers. I want that Vandergrift Dripping Springs rematch. That's all I'm looking for right now in 6A, man. I want to see those 2 get together again. I want Novosad against Buchanan for a trip to the state semis. That would be, I believe that's right. I believe they'd play in the state quarters, so the winner would go to the Final Four.
Okay.
That's what we need. I don't care where you play it. Play it in a Walmart parking lot, but I want those 2 teams to face off because they did put them in the same bracket. That is what we need to see. All right, so a lot of good stuff going on there. High school football cranking up. Texas and Gonzaga tonight. We were asking people earlier, when was the last time you were what's the best non-conference game you've seen at Texas, where Texas brought somebody in? Somebody mentioned the Tennessee game when Rick Barnes came back.
That was a good one.
Obviously, that's recent. I remember this one, Zay. 2003, Chris Paul and Wake showed up. North Carolina with when Javon Felix. Oh, yeah, Felix hit the game winner. This is, Texas and number 10, Carolina, 2009. I go back to, nobody mentioned this one yet. What about Bibby and Simon in Arizona coming in? That happened.
They came in.
That happened years ago too.
Wow, playing like clacking them.
Correct. I think that's about that
Chico
time. Yeah, there have been some
First
good ones.
Maybe
there have been some good ones, and I was also there for the night that Chris Paul came in. That was fun to see too. So tonight it is Gonzaga coming to the Moody Center. Remember, 8:30 is your tip time.
By the way, we just mentioned Chris Clack. Shout out to his daughter, Jade Clack, who just signed with TCU this past week. She's at Austin High. Had like 30-something last night.
Oh, yeah. She's a guard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's nice.
God, I bet those one-on-one games are silly. Can you imagine?
Oh, man.
Like there are father-daughter one-on-one games that get very heated around the country and around the world and all that. But I bet clack on clack is a serious matchup.
Yeah, I saw Chris at the Arkansas game, and he's been on my show, The Right Call, last year, and we got to get him on this show. But, yeah, I know he still got a little bit of juice. Like, he had a smooth lefty shot, had a lot of athleticism. I think Chris, if he would have played in like around this era, he would have been probably better suited for the league. It was a weird era when he got drafted. Like Allen Iverson and Jason Kidd, they were the big dogs, and that 2000 to 2003. That was just an odd era between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. That was a weird era of basketball.
Yeah, shout out to the Clack family. That's some serious basketball. You know he'll be interested tonight with Texas and Gonzaga. Up next, where are we at in society? We'll see what Zay's got for us at 2:05. It's Chip Brown of Horns247.com talking about the Longhorns and the challenge coming up in Lawrence. And, of course, what we saw against TCU. Stay right there. We'll hit as much as we can on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk a little Apple leasing. Love my new car from Apple Leasing. It was new to me. It was a 2019. I was in a 2014, so I upgraded that, upgraded the size and different things. Went from a small four-door car to a compact SUV. Kind of like that extra stability. I really enjoyed driving it recently in the rain, feeling a little sturdier than I was in my older car. So a lot of advantages there, and the easy lease was the biggest advantage of all. I've never been into the lease thing. I didn't know enough about it. But when you call Apple Leasing, they'll answer all your questions about what happens along the way. You get all these options. You get all kinds of flexibility with the easy lease plan. Call 346-9977. They'll start talking you through it. I talked to Beth. You may talk to Beth. You may talk to one of their other experts, and they'll just start walking you through exactly how it works. And remember, they get the same discounts and incentives that the dealers do, but they don't get you all those dealer hassles. This is the part I always say to you because I think it's so important. They don't have you sitting at a desk signing. You're going to do everything with DocuSign electronically, so you're not having to go out and do that, and you don't have to run all over town looking at all these different selections. They'll do that for you, bring the options back to you, and then they'll deliver it to your driveway if that's what you need them to do, and they'll even drive away the trade-in if that's what you need them to do. Call 346-9977 or go online to appleleasing.com. Bring me Southern Kisses. I think I know what he's doing there. That was well done. Well done. You dirty, dirty bastard. All right. Man, this is, boy. We are going back a little ways here. I do not recognize it. It almost has like this older, it almost has like a Rod Stewart vibe, but it's not Rod. It's not rough enough on the voice. I don't know, Zay. Who is it?
Steve Forbert, Romeo's Tune.
I have no clue who that is. Steve Forbert?
Forbert.
Forbert.
Yeah.
Forbert?
Correct.
You got eyes on what Steve looks like? Can you describe him to me?
As Cameron Diaz said in Something About Mary, he's no Steve Young.
Is he the same race as Steve Young?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were two words that came to my mind when that song fired up. Safe and white.
Oh, yeah.
That song ain't scaring
anybody.
That song is not scaring anyone, anywhere, anytime.
To go from Black Sabbath to that, definitely a little, roller coaster.
Actually, it scares me as a metal fan. That's who it scares. It scares me as a heavy metal fan. I'm a little scared of some Steve Forbert.
See, people lighting your ass up saying, come on, Chad, that song was huge. He still tours.
Does he really?
Yeah.
How about that? Y'all can get tickets for that. I got to spend too much time paying for these damn Taylor Swift tickets.
How's that going?
By the way, thank you, everybody, for your interest. Yesterday, Zay, I was able to procure these tickets. Ticketmaster is running such a scam. Everybody knows it right now. It's not a scam. That's not the way to say it. But, man, their control over this ticket thing is so crazy right now. But I got home. I was able to get in the queue, and I was able to get us tickets for one of the Houston shows. The best advice I could tell people is, if you can get in on the pre-sale now, I guess, is technically over. So Friday at 10 a.m., if you can get there right at 10 a.m., that'll help you out. And just think quick. You got to be thinking fast. Head on a swivel. You can't be like my mother and do well, what about this? Well, what if we consider this? Well, what if we did this? No, you got to go. You can get 6 tickets at a time, but don't expect them to all be together. I had to do 4 tickets here and 2 tickets on the same row down a ways. You got to be thinking quick, Zay.
Yo, why people are doing this Taylor Swift ticket thing like brothers be doing Jordan releases.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it was crazy. But it was very cool to be able to tell her that we were going, and she's very excited. So this is April of 2023. But here's how bad it was. Ticketmaster had such issues yesterday. There were stories about it in all the major papers, all the major outlets. And AOC even tweeted out about how bad it was and that they need to break up the Ticketmaster Live Nation monopoly. Like, that's how bad it was, which just tells you that AOC has some young fan in her life.
Yeah, of course.
Or maybe she's a Swiftie. I mean, Taylor's been around a while now, so maybe AOC is a Swiftie that couldn't get tickets. But
we're around the same age.
Dude, it was crazy. When I saw 2,000 plus people ahead of me in a queue, I got lightheaded. I was like, what are you talking? 2,000 plus? That is crazy.
Just to hear Taylor sing, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. Wow. Wow, what lyrics that just grasps women and young teens and just say, that's fire right there, Taylor. That's the stuff.
You just boiled it all down to the simplest level, didn't you? That's good. That was well done. All right.
Those are the only lyrics I know from the songs, and I just hear it because my wife's always looking at TikTok, and I hear it all the time.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah. I will not rip on anyone who's going to be buying those Steve Forbert tickets, but that's just not going to be me. I will be hanging with my child at NRG for one of those Houston shows for Taylor Swift. So the big sale goes out on Friday. Best of luck. Hopefully Ticketmaster gets their problems figured out by then. All right, let's go Where Are We At in Society, see what Zay's got for us today.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay, do I have something in my Twitter that I need to check?
Yes, you do, Chad.
Okay. All right.
All right. So investors have filed an $11 billion lawsuit on FTX cryptocurrency because they just had to file from bankruptcy. I want to say somebody hacked into them or something like that, or I don't know. The stocks went down. I don't know, but the cryptocurrency market isn't that good right now, and especially not good for FTX, who has on their team Tom Brady, Naomi Osaka, Larry David, Shaq. Steph Curry, and other members of the Golden State Warriors. So they're all a part of this lawsuit. Yeah, that's bad. They'll probably get out of it somehow. They're rich. But FTX, they did have the naming rights to old American Airlines Arena. I don't know if it's Arena or Center. The one in Miami and Dallas always confuses me.
Okay, AAC's in Dallas.
Okay.
I have to know this as a Mavs fan. AAC is in Dallas. American Airlines Arena
was in Miami. Okay,
yeah.
Been there before, seen the game. Beautiful arena right on the water.
Okay.
By the bridge that you got to cross to get to South Beach. But now, since there's no naming rights for the previously American Airlines Arena,
yeah,
porn site Bang Bros is trying to put their submission in to get naming rights to the Miami Heat Arena, and it would be called BBC.
The BBC? The Bang Brothers Center?
Bang Bros. Not Bang Brothers, Bang Bros.
Bang Bros.
Yeah, just bros.
So go BBA, Bang Brothers Arena? Would that be better? Or
like BBC with the porn thing? I think that would work.
Yeah, but but BBC already is like the network in Britain that's been around forever. Wouldn't you go BBA, be something a little different?
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Bang. What are the chances this happens?
I don't think it's going to happen, but they should look into it. Porn makes a lot of money. I mean, it's Miami. Why not? I'm sure they shoot in Miami.
All right, so Zay, I'm giving you a choice here. Let's take the Golden State Warriors out. You listed those folks in the lawsuit. Tom Brady, Naomi Osaka.
Oh, Giselle too. Giselle's a part of it too.
Oh, and Giselle's a part of it.
Giselle's a part of it too.
Ooh, okay, so we're going to let me put Giselle in the discussion.
Who's that sheet?
Okay, so here we go. How about Tom Brady, Giselle, and Larry David and Shaq?
I think you should take Larry David out of it because I remember the commercial. It was during Super Bowl, and he's saying, this crypto thing isn't never going to work.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he was being sarcastic.
That's why he's in it? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, this is crazy. Okay, so if you're going to eat dinner and you could only pick 2 people to eat dinner with, Tom, Giselle, and Shaq, who do you not want to be there? You can only have dinner with 2 of them. Do you want to eat with the divorced couple? Or do you want to go like Tom and Shaq or Giselle and Shaq? What do you want to do?
Shaq and Larry.
You want Shaq and Larry?
I'm going Shaq and Larry.
You're going to throw Larry David back in? Okay,
yeah. Because I got to talk about the classic episode where Larry tripped the hell out of Shaq on the show and ends up hurting him. That's a great episode.
Dude, that's good. Larry, you could not have a bad time at dinner with Larry David and Shaq. Because if Larry David is being Larry David, which he will be, and closes and tries to be real neurotic, Shaq will call him out. You won't have to, and that'll be entertaining.
Oh yeah.
Good choice.
By the way, Shaq has his little documentary coming out on HBO, 4-parter, November 23rd. That should be good.
Oh yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah,
4 parts, all about Shaq.
All about Shaq.
Oh man.
So he's gonna really break it down. I wonder how much is about him and Kobe's situation. I wonder how much he's going to be willing to tell because it got real messy with him and Kobe towards the end. And, clearly you want to have a certain respect for Kobe at this point, but also you want to be authentic. So
yeah,
it should be interesting. And I'll definitely be tuning in.
I'll check that out. I read his autobiography and it was really good. I'm not going to pretend like I read a ton of those, but for some reason I saw it. I saw it, grabbed it, and it was a great read. And I've always dug the Shaq's story and kind of a fan of his. So it was cool. I'll definitely watch that documentary coming up. HBO does a great job with those. All right, there's where we're at in society. We do it every day about 1:45. Cross your fingers that the Miami Heat will be playing at the Bang Bros Center in a couple years. That would be awesome. We're going to the BB, Grandma. What does it stand for, Sonny? Oh, well, you don't want to know about that.
Yo, Bang Bros, they do a good job. That's all I gotta say.
Dude, what kind of wonderful advertising could you have inside that arena if that's what you call it?
Yeah.
Just advertise it, give away gift cards.
Yeah, for a young teen who thought Bang Bus was real, like wrestling. Now it's not very disappointing. And it's probably kind of scary. Thank goodness it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, legendary. They're legendary for that.
The one thing we don't, just make sure, Miami, whatever you do, if you let that name on the building, that's one thing. Don't let them put individual kiosks in there. Do not let them put kiosks in that building because they'll go too far. Just trust us. All right, 2 o'clock hour coming up. Chip Brown, Horns247.com to talk Texas as they get ready for those Kansas Jayhawks. Don't move. It's the Horn. Damn, I was just going to talk to you about sleeping. There's a lot going on there. My goodness. Hope you're not going through all of that. But if you are sleeping bad, you're snoring, you're keeping folks up, maybe sleep apnea is a part of it, or you have bad sinus stuff, sinus infections and stuff like our man Zay's gone through, or you had allergies like I've been through, like a lot of you maybe have, that this area is so known for. Sinus and snoring specialists can help you out. Dr. Slaughter has over 20 years of experience in ear, nose, and throat. It is the very latest treatments, the most unique treatments out there, and he can make sure he can find out what's going on with you, like he did with me back in 2017, and figure out how to deal with it. And there are a lot of different options. That's my favorite part of it. It's not just one thing. It's not just a cookie cutter situation. Again, he's got options that others just don't have. So you need to get things checked out. Don't let those allergies just get worse and worse and worse and worse. And especially if you've got sleep apnea, if you're not breathing at some point during sleep, you need to find out exactly how bad it is and what can be done about it. So give them a call, 512-601-0303. You can set the appointment up that way. Be sure to tell them you heard about it here on the Horn. You can also go to sinussnoringent.com. It's sinus and snoring specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. All right, how about hour number 3 on a Wednesday? Hour number 3 always starts with Zay's Choice in Beats. What do you got, Zay?
Still Fly, by the Big Timers.
The
Manny Fresh beat.
The Big Timers.
Half of the Big Timers. Manny Fresh, Baby, Number One Stunner, Birdman. Yeah.
This one sounds like it belongs in the new Creed movie. It gives me like a Rocky, like a fight vibe.
All right.
You know, like kind of.
A lot of people used to fight in New Orleans when this song was out, so I get it. I get it.
All right, fair enough. There you go. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. All right, so the Big Timers getting us started in the 2:00 hour. Every time Kansas plays Texas in football, they try to prove that they're big timers. Heck, they got a win in Austin last year, and of course they got that win back a few years ago that we won't even talk about. But we'll see what happens this Saturday at 2:30 in Lawrence. Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. We'll talk to a man who's been covering Texas for a minute or two. He is Chip Brown of horns247.com. Check out the flagship podcast. Also, check out that Morning Brew article. You got it each and every day. Chip, how are you?
What's going on, fella?
What's up, man? It is going to be it was good. It's always going to be an interesting time when Texas and Kansas get together after a couple of these games that have just happened. But with Saturday's game against TCU, I'm just not sure what to expect. Give us your thoughts coming out of it. I think, Chip, I could have dealt with or expected like a 38-35, or I think I picked 42-38. But 17-10, the way it played out, I just didn't expect it. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I thought this game would go to overtime at 30-30.
Yeah.
So that tells you where my mind was. But, I think it was just one of those nights, man, where the offense, I mean, from that first out route that Quinn Ewers threw to Worthy, Ewers was late. The ball Worthy was wide open. And then Tomlinson comes over, breaks it up. And then it was just sort of a cavalcade of calamity from an offensive standpoint. Guys dropping balls that don't drop balls. Even Bijan Robinson said that on the 4th and 1 run that he had in the first half, he should have stayed outside to the right. Instead, he tried to cut. He thought, he could cut back inside. And there was another defender there who stuffs him. So, he's kicking himself about that. When was the last time you heard Bijan Robinson say he missed, the cut? And so, it just and when that happens, that's one play. But it's a huge play because it leaves you in long yardage, and then you become predictable, and that's exactly where TCU had Texas all night, and so I think they'll go to Kansas. I'm sure Kansas will take some of what TCU did. Kansas has good enough corners to put 8 and 9 in the box, and just cram every gap and try to force Quinn Ewers to beat him throwing. It's going to be freezing. And, Quinn Ewers did spend, 4 months at Ohio State, so he knows what it's like to be in that winter weather. And they just need to stay two-dimensional. I mean, if Texas can run the football, I think they win the game. If they struggle to establish the run, man, Kansas, they believe that team believes, and they almost went to Lubbock and won. I know the final score is 43-28, but they had a fumble late that broke that game open. But Kansas was driving to tie it up. It was definitely one of those games that felt like whoever has the ball last wins. So Kansas playing with confidence, and if I'm Steve Sarkisian, I dust off the Oklahoma film and say, this is what we're capable of. and Oklahoma beat Kansas, so let's go do this, because the offense is just sort of ground to a halt here these last 3 games, especially in the second half.
Yeah.
Chip, Steve Sarkisian, in a way, has become a little stubborn with how much and how frequently he's taken these deep shots, especially with Quinn Ewers, hasn't been accurate on majority of them. And then you give Bijan Robinson only 12 carries, no carries in the red zone the only 2 times you were there. How did you see the game plan offensively, and were you surprised on Sark's play calling and decision making on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I need Bijan Robinson to be touching the ball in goal-to-go situations. That's nothing against Roschon Johnson at all. Roschon Johnson is going to be an NFL player probably next year. So, but man, I sure would be throwing the football to Bijan Robinson because he averages 16.5 yards per reception. I mean, that's the highest of the 4 top receivers on the team. And it's because he usually gets the ball in space and can make guys miss and get yards after the catch. So it's just, it didn't seem like there was an urgency to get the ball to Bijan Robinson any way possible, by any means possible. And, why not a trick play? Why not come out in the second half and try something? And you got guys who can throw it. We've seen, we know Roschon can throw it. Worthy threw it for a touchdown to Sanders. Sanders can throw it. I mean, at some point it's those subtle messages you send to your team that, hey, we're okay. We're attacking. We're going to be fine. And it just didn't seem like that was, happening. And they did run some counter and power in the first half. They had some success with it, but they couldn't sustain it. And whenever they went to the air, it seemed like there was either a penalty or a drop. And after a while, you just start to feel like, man, nothing's going to work. But Sarkisian can't think that way. And that's where, he's got to get them into a play that will bring some juice. And so we'll see how this goes against Kansas, because Texas should be able to run the ball on this Kansas defense. And, in cold weather, run the ball, play defense. And the defense is playing at a high level right now. So that's the formula for success. Let's see if Sarkisian can get them into a rhythm early and make them two-dimensional.
Yeah, this week that's a capital S on that should, too. We'll see if they follow along there. Talking with Chip Brown, horns247.com. And, Chip, it is one of those the one thing about Sark that I've sort of gleaned over this last couple of years, and you tell me if you agree, you're there for every press conference. I think he's being really honest with you guys most of the time. I think if you're listening carefully, the truth is there. And the truth is he's not going to go to the backup quarterback. And the truth is he's going to take deep shots, and he's going to sometimes give it to Bijan enough, and sometimes he's not. I just want to ask you about kind of, as you're feeling out this coach, but also you guys get to interview players, where's the frustration level right now? I mean, it's 11-11 total. I get it. He says they're better than last year. What are you sensing? You've covered this team a long time, and I'm sure you have that sense for a coach's frustration, a player's frustration. Where do you think this all is right now? Sark, Bijan, just kind of the vibe you're getting in that room.
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys believe in Sarkisian, and I think that's a big upgrade from last year. I think there were bad apples in the group last year who were detracting from the overall culture and, the togetherness and the oneness. The defense is, so much better. Those guys are totally bought in. And I think offensively, I mean, Bijan Robinson, we asked him point blank on Monday, is your faith shaken in the Sark as an offensive play caller. And he immediately said, no, not at all. I mean, so I think the guys, believe in Sark. I think they respect the way he talks to them and is transparent with them. I mean, I think he's got the culture right, which is huge. I mean, from a building of a program standpoint, they are young at quarterback. They've got some young players on that offensive line. Those guys are going to be really good next year. I mean, they should be. And the defense returns a lot of, top talent at the defensive line. Jalen Ford's back. Maybe they can figure out a way to get DeMarvion Overshown to come back for his COVID year. But, it's moving in the right direction. The hard part is you're so close, and you had leads in, three of your fourth quarter leads in 3 of your 4 losses, that the fan base is like, what the hell's wrong? What's wrong? Why are we falling apart when it matters most? But the bottom line is they've had the lead. I mean, they're not getting blown out. They're not getting run. So I do think this team is together, but they offensively, the psyche looks fragile. Like Ewers came off the field. He looked shaken. I mean, and he said this week that he's got to get his footwork right, that he looked at the film and feels like his footwork was lazy, was his word. And, we talked about that in, a couple weeks ago, Oklahoma State, because he throws off platforms so much and doesn't set his feet. He's got that ability to kind of slingshot passes, sidearm them, whatever. But when you get into wind and weather and sometimes just trying to get a deep ball to the nose of the football to dive right into your receiver's hands, you got to set your feet. And so this will be interesting because he was really good in the second quarter at Kansas State when they built that 31-10 lead. And then they had the penalties and the turnover by Worthy in the third quarter at K-State. Got them out of rhythm. They didn't get back in it. And then they were hanging on for dear life, kicked a field goal to hang on and win that. So, this game, Texas a 9.5-point favorite. And I'm like, okay, did you see the offense against TCU? Because Kansas they run the football, triple option. Yep. They lead the Big 12 in pass efficiency. This is an efficient Kansas offense, and they believe, man. So this is it's probably going to be another fourth quarter, cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Don't want to hear that, Chip. Now, Gary Patterson, I bet you he was in his fields on Saturday at the TCU game, but now there's rumors going around on him going up to Lincoln, Nebraska, maybe looking at that Nebraska job. How do you assess that? Is that a true thing? He went on Twitter yesterday and basically said he was committed to Sark and the staff to continue to finish this journey. Do you think Gary Patterson will be back next year, or he could leave to go find another head coaching job somewhere?
Well, I think we have to wait and see what the carousel ends up looking like, but I'm not sure that the Nebraska thing has legs. And I do think that Gary has enjoyed himself at Texas. I think he's enjoyed, I talked to him in June when he released his song, The Day I Walk Away, and he said, it's nice to get up at the end of a meeting and say, man, I'm glad Sark has to figure out these problems, and not him. And so I think he's, learning. He said part of the reason he came to Texas was he wanted to observe Sark, his offense, how they recruit. And Gary obviously had a huge role in that defensive game plan against TCU. In fact, if you look at the television real carefully on a couple of instances, you might see Gary Patterson doing some gesturing to a couple of defensive players. But, I think I don't see him at Nebraska next year. And I think there is a real chance he'll be back.
Chip, real quick before we let you go, obviously the big game tonight at the Moody Center. I see an article here that you did regarding Mr. Disu. Is how much of a key is he for you tonight, trying to deal with Gonzaga and Timmy?
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Disu led the SEC in rebounding 2 years ago, and then he had the knee injury, and he had to rehab it, so he didn't get to go through conditioning or anything with the new coaching staff, the new players last year, and last year was kind of a lost year for him, but he's been through all the preseason, all the camp, the conditioning. This is his time, and you know, he's 6'9", he's a defensive player. Drew Timme is a monster, probably the best footwork of any big man in college basketball for the last 10 years. And so Dylan Disu, you know, if you see yourself as an NBA guy, then, you know, he should be able to hold Timme below his scoring average tonight. And we'll see how Beard plays it, because he doesn't ever just put it on one guy. And obviously Disu's going to come out of the game at times, and Christian Bishop and, you know, Dylan Mitchell have to, you know, work together to limit Timme. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a big step for Disu. If he has a good night tonight, man, his confidence will probably soar.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. 8 o'clock pregame right here on the Horn. 8:30 tip for Texas and Gonzaga. That is Chip Brown. Check that article out at horns247.com. He's got the Morning Brew article for you every day. The flagship podcast is up as well, talking about Texas trying to go get that win at Kansas. A little revenge for what they did in Austin last year. If you're on Twitter, at ChipBrown247. Chip, always appreciate it, man. Have a great week.
All right, fellas.
Thanks, Chip.
Good stuff there, and interesting. The offensive psyche comment I think was good, but good to hear if you're a Texas fan that this team, at least the vibe around the team, is that they certainly haven't given up on their coach or anything, but there is just something weird going on with this offense. They need to figure something out when they have the football. We'll see what happens in Lawrence. We'll keep talking about that one as the week goes on. Up next, it's Why Today Matters. Today is November the 16th. I got 2 birthdays for you, and I'm wondering why they haven't gotten together yet. It would feel like there's a natural dating situation ready to happen. I'll tell you who they are coming up on the Horn. This is Chad talking AV consultations. We say one thing about AV consultations that I think is particularly important when you come to the holiday season, and if you're trying to put something together like a movie room, you've talked about a bigger screen, you talked about more screens, you talked about a work from home setup that you need to make it all perfect with, you know, with TVs and speakers and all that kind of stuff. Let them handle everything at AV Consultations. They've been doing this locally owned and operated since the late 80s, all the way back to like 88 is when they got it started. But let them take care of everything. Don't go off to a big box store and try to, you know, figure out all the TV stuff, and then you might end up with something wrong, something that's not going to be compatible with the speakers you're interested in, or it may not, you know, go together with something else that you're looking at. Maybe it doesn't go in the room the way you think it could. Let AV Consultations come check out your place, check out what you're thinking, and then they will get everything. They'll get all the screens, they'll get all the speakers, they'll get all the wires, they'll get the right cables. They'll make sure to maximize your money and maximize your experience. And remember, they're not raising prices as we head towards the holidays like others do. They've got all those smart TVs, they've got all the Sonos audio equipment that you're looking for, and they can get it all put together for you and make sure that you're satisfied. Call 255-8678. Tell them you heard about it here on the Horn, and tell them what you're thinking. Get that Get that project started as we head towards Christmas. Could be the best Christmas ever at your house. 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. I like that beat. Aha! All right. If I heard that beat and my face did that, and I think I know this voice, it's Eazy-E.
That's right.
There we go. This would be from some solo stuff or NWA stuff?
This is the solo stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So when NWA was coming out, I want to say Eazy dropped this album right when they dropped their album too, like right around the same time. Even though the majority of these lyrics are from Cube, Eazy-E had the voice.
Right.
Dr. Dre was like, man, you can't write, but Cube can. And Cube's going to write your lyrics. And there's always that famous scene in the movie, the NWA movie, where Ice Cube's son is playing him, and Ice Cube, he goes up to Jerry, the manager, and Eazy, and they're eating this like very classy dinner, and the rest of the guys are coming back from Fat Burger or something, and Cube's like, man, this must be nice, huh? It's crazy. Where's this money coming from? We're out here eating Fat Burger, and
right.
Cube was the first to leave because he knew he was getting screwed out the deal, and that's all she wrote.
So you're saying that the vibe around the NWA situation wasn't exactly the same as the Wu-Tang thing you described earlier?
Not even close. Okay, I'm not saying the Wu-Tang Clan didn't have their differences, but it was way worse than NWA, and that had to do a lot with Jerry Heller.
I think that was the name.
Jerry Heller, the manager for NWA back then.
Is it Paul Giamatti that played him in the movie? Was it Paul Giamatti that played him or somebody else? I think it was, wasn't it? Is that who he played?
Sure. What else Paul Giamatti is?
Paul Giamatti is, what else would you know him from? I know him from, he was in Sideways, the movie about wine. He was in, he's in this commercial now as Scrooge in the mobile phone commercials. What else do you know Giamatti from? Oh, he's in, is it Billions he's in? Billions or, I don't know, just look him up.
Yeah.
Look up Paul Giamatti. I can't come up with how to tell you who he is.
Yeah, you're right.
That is him, right?
Yeah,
okay.
it was him.
Yeah. All right. So a great beat there, and Eazy-E joining the list today. Eazy-E, Little Black Sabbath, Steve Forbert, whoever the heck that is. Apparently, I'm supposed to know. Sugar Ray and Donnie Iris have all been on the show today, and I did get ripped for not recognizing Steve Forbert. My bad, Steve. If you're out there, I didn't know. All right. A lot of stuff going on tonight. Of course, Texas basketball. We'll get a little bit more on that coming up, but we've got Ball Don't Lie coming up at 3. Longhorn Blitz podcast at 7, crushing in on the Longhorn football game even deeper. Then at 8 o'clock, pregame for Texas basketball. Tip with Gonzaga is at 8:30. If you're a fan of Fight Night and Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, they'll go podcast only this week because of the Gonzaga game. All right, let's get into why today matters. That game will be a part of it, but we also have a couple other things for you. Here we go. All right, November the 16th. Zay, I got 2 birthdays. I'm going to try to get them together, and I think they both may be in need of a relationship. Today's Pete Davidson's 29th birthday. Pete has dated some famous people recently.
Yo, have you seen his new woman?
No. Oh, is he taken right now?
Yeah, he's taken.
Darn it, I was trying to get him into a new
Jess was
relationship.
taken yesterday at Star, that Emily
Just
Wojciechowski
yesterday.
girl.
Oh, and I don't know.
She's like a model. She got famous for that Birdline song for Pharrell and Robin Thicke because there's an unedited version where she's showing nothing but her birthday suit.
I see. Yeah. I'm telling you what, you can say whatever you want about Pete Davidson and the way he looks and the craziness and all that stuff, but man, the list he's putting together. Go to his Wikipedia page and just look up the girls he's dated. The most famous ones you'll know, but even the ones that you don't know, when you look up and see what they look like, man.
Yeah, Ariana Grande, she's kind of hit or miss for me. I don't like the little child stuff that she does, but she looks good when she's a grown woman.
Right, once she grew up,
yeah, when she acts like a grown woman, that's when she looks good. So her, Kim K, and now this Emily Wojciechowski, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but yeah, Pete cleans up. He does well.
Don't forget, there was a Kate Beckinsale in there.
Stop it.
Kate Beckinsale.
Yo, I'm not an Underworld guy. I will watch that movie just because of her.
Dude, I mean, I'm telling you,
Damn, Pete.
I know. And what I was trying to get to was today is the double nickel. He's proven he'll date an older woman. Beckinsale's like 10 years older than him. Today, Lisa Bonet hits the double nickel. So I'm thinking Lisa Bonet, maybe Pete Davidson. Now, her type is a little different in the past, but he is all tatted up. He's crazy. She's got some crazy going on. I'm sure I would be certain there's at least 1 or 2 tattoos on Lisa Bonet.
Yeah, he would probably.
With her time with Momoa.
He would probably go after Zoe Kravitz first before Moms.
He probably would.
But I feel him. I feel him. If he went Lisa Bonet, hey, go ahead.
Happy birthday to both of those.
You watched the Cosby Show. Was she that girl for you, or was she Denise? Who's the oldest?
She was Denise. Sandra was the older.
The
older daughter. If I had, I mean, it also, I watched the whole run of that show, so it kind of depended on which time frame you were in, but I was probably a Denise guy.
Okay.
More than I was a Sandra guy.
Now, did you go with
Both
Denise
attractive.
when she went to college on Different World, or was that?
Yes, for
you
like.
watched Different World a little bit?
Yeah. I think I was with Different World for 2 or 3 full seasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
Heck yeah, Dwayne Wayne.
Yo, man,
Kadeem Hardison?
You might have to skip the line in the cookout the way you talking right now. Like, not only invited, hey, get Chad to play first.
There you go.
And put them chitlins on first for him so we can get them chitlins in them. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Come on now. Yeah, man, Lisa Bonet was great. She was great. All right, so we got those birthdays. On the sports side of things, happy birthday to Dr. K himself. Dwight Gooden is 58. I hope he's doing well.
Me too, man.
They did that doc a couple years ago with him and, pardon the pun, a documentary with him and Darryl Strawberry. That Mets team, obviously historic and everything, but they are also a troubled, not cursed, they're a troubled, tormented group in some ways. And they lived hard, man. They lived hard back and maybe still living hard today.
Yeah, they look like they're living hard. If you watch that documentary, that 30 for 30 on that 86 Mets team, it was a 4-parter. Like, that's how crazy their life was.
Yeah.
And that team, like, they had a 4-parter just for those guys. And they have a legendary airplane story after they beat the Astros to go to the World Series, you know, from Houston to Queens. It was
long flight.
I heard it was one of the craziest. A lot of cocaine on that trip.
No. The Mets in the 80s? How dare you use such accusations, Zay?
Yeah. They were out there. They were out there, but they won, so what can you say?
Dude, I'm surprised there weren't commercials in New York. The New York Mets, brought to you by cocaine. Welcome back, bottom of the third. I mean, wouldn't have been surprised. Also on the sports angle, since we do reference a lot of Rocky movies in the sports world. In fact, I think I mentioned Creed earlier today. Burgess Meredith would have had a birthday today. He died back in 1997. The legendary Mickey from Rocky. He's a killer rock. He'll get you. He'll destroy you. This guy's gonna eat you alive. Mickey in Rocky 3 is the best Mickey for me. I know early Mickey is important, Mickey, but Mickey explaining to Rocky why he didn't want the girls in the gym, why he didn't want the cameras in the gym, and why he thought Clubber Lang was going to kill Rocky. That's my favorite Mickey.
Yeah, Clubber Lang was talking about banging his wife and stuff. You don't want no part of that.
No,
that's a different type of brother right there,
It really
man.
was. Rocky 3 is so
Rocky
great.
was ready. He did the right training, and yeah, Mr. T got knocked out.
Eventually he got there. Yeah, it's at some point. That sports analogy will always be there. Your team, your favorite team, or your favorite athlete, you want them to be Rocky at the end of Rocky 3, not Rocky at the beginning of Rocky 3. That's a different thing. In fact, I thought of that analogy the other day with this LBJ football team to hit high school real quick, because deep down, Jamal Finner needs his team to be Rocky at the end of Rocky 3. Because when you play some of that stuff in district, you're thinking, we're not Rocky in the middle of that movie, are we? We're not Rocky at the beginning of that movie, are we? So far, it looks like they're Rocky at the end of that movie. Let's hope they can get all the way to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I keep thinking, man. Is your team your team may be your team or your athlete may be hard, but are they hardened? Are they properly hardened and sharpened and ready to go? That's what LBJ is trying to find out. We'll see if Port Neches Grove's got anything for him on Friday night. All right, that is why today matters, but also Texas and Gonzaga is why today matters. Zay, I want you to give the Longhorn fans that are going to this game tonight one piece of advice. Give them a simple piece of advice about yelling, when to yell, why to yell, what to yell, because it feels like they've gotten their seats. Now we got to get them to the next level. What's the next level?
Just be ready. Just be ready. Take a nap because it's a late one.
Take a nap. That's
8:30. Chris Beard said it.
That's the best advice for Texas fans I think I've ever heard.
Nap. 8:30. It's gonna be a late one. Yeah. So be prepared. The Horn should give you a good show. This is why the Moody Center is here. This is why you brought these new recruits in and continue to get recruits like Ron Holland out of Duncanville, who's a 5-star, because of games like this. I mean, we know that Texas is a football school. We get that, but they've had some pretty good teams and pretty good players come throughout this basketball program, and it should only get better. And when Drew Timme and Gonzaga Bulldogs come into town, this is why you come here.
Also, if you're in the older crowd listening, if you're in the younger crowd, you got to show up. You got to be crazy. You got to be intense. You got to make noise. You got to know when the other team has the ball. It's a big moment, and you follow along, make noise, get ahead of things. Don't just react. But if you're an older person, I want y'all to listen to me very carefully. If you're older, if you're like 30 or older and you're going to the Moody Center tonight, tell somebody that's in your group to slap you in the face if you use the words, could you please sit down? If you tell another human being to sit down inside that building, tell your husband, your daughter, your son, your mother, your grandfather, tell them to slap you in the face. Stop telling people to sit down at Texas basketball games. It shouldn't exist ever again.
People do that?
They did it at the Irwin Center. I don't want to hear about it at Moody.
No.
I don't want to hear it at the Moody.
That's a disgrace.
If they're standing up, you need to stand up. If you want to see, you can stay seated if you'd like. Don't tell people to sit down. Please don't. Please don't. You can tell them they're in your seat. That's different. Then you tell them to stand up.
See, that's why people call us country club, stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying. You can't do that. Even
inexcusable. Wow.
I don't want to hear any of those stories. We were getting those stories, Zay, all the way through last season. Guys, I went to the game last night. Somebody told me to sound. We've got to stop that at the Moody Center. Can't let it get started. Can't let it get started. Matthew McConaughey, CDC, they don't want that. They do not want that. They want madness. They want craziness, and they want people that will stand when they want to stand and sit when they want to sit, and most of the time stand and yell and scream.
If I come back tomorrow and let you know, hey, Chad, I saw a fight in the stands because somebody somebody took your advice and told somebody to sit their ass down, and they said, what? And they slapped the crap out of them, and then there was a squabble.
Boo! No. Keep in mind what I said. Someone in your group needs to slap you. Don't go slapping somebody in another group.
What do you mean?
I'm saying if you and your husband are going to the game,
anybody could get it.
You say to your husband, hey, honey, if I tell anybody to sit down tonight, just reach over and slap me in the face. Slap me. Tell your brother, tell your uncle, tell whoever you're going with, tell your mama. That'd be a good one. Hey, did that dude's mama just slap him? Yeah, he told that dude in front of him to sit down. And then when we were in a 4-point game in the first half, and he got slapped, and he needed to. Texas and Gonzaga tonight at 8:30 on that tip time. Interested to see how the Longhorns stack up there. Coming up, stems and seeds. Let's get you some NFL notes, including a big decision for the Eagles and a couple other things for you as well. And a big day for the Cleveland Browns. Yep. He's back, kinda. This is The Horn. All right, let's talk about, your next party, your next holiday party, your next get-together, your next watch party. You're getting together for Longhorns, Cowboys. Maybe it's the Aggies. No, you're probably not getting together for the Aggies right now. I'm not even getting together for the Aggies right now. But when you are getting together with friends and family, Specs can make sure you get all that you need and get it all put together. If you need an expert drink pairing, they've got it for you. For every plate and every tailgate, stock up for game day, stock up for turkey day. They've got a way for you to save big because they've got the best prices around, and they have since 1962. Lower prices on a huge selection of world-class wines, rare spirits, seltzers, ciders, and craft beers. If you've been to Specs, you know what I'm talking about. All that cool beer from all over the state, country, and around the world. All the whiskeys, all the bourbons, all the scotch. I'm a vodka guy. They've got it all at Specs. I just stocked up recently. You may need to stock up too. They're a 4-time National Retailer of the Year for a reason. And remember, if you're looking for maybe stepping up that holiday cocktail game or just getting some insider info on seasonal releases, they can help you there if you're into that stuff. And if you need to order online for same-day delivery, do that too. SpecsOnline.com has it all there for you, so you can check them out online if you're too busy running around doing all the other holiday stuff. Remember, the fun starts at Specs. He helped me out there.
With every dog needs a lady, baby.
He helped me out there.
Yeah, because you were really about to say DMX.
How dare you?
How dare you?
I hope I would have said Ja Rule, but you're probably right. You're probably right. I'm gonna lie. That's probably true.
I'll give you a pass on that because they do growl and bark and stuff like that. Very similar. And they were gonna be in a group together with Jay-Z at one point in time.
Really?
But Jay-Z was like, hey guys, I'm gonna be a pretty big deal with or without y'all. So, let me get this money and do it without y'all. And we'll do some features every now and then.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's realistic. Anyway.
No, you know what? Be honest. Jay-Z kind of saw DMX and was a little intimidated because Jay-Z's been quoted saying, hey, I would have shows with X and X would go on before me and he would completely rock the show and have everybody growling and stuff. Then I'd come up next with my smooth approach and sometimes it wouldn't work. So he would really have to go deep inside his bag to find stuff that the crowd would rock to.
Tough act to follow.
Oh, yeah, DMX. He's different.
All right, so the female voice there. The first thing I thought of was Mariah Carey, but that probably, but then it didn't. I mean, it's in terms of that kind of talent, but
don't
that's
get
not
kicked
her.
out the cookout. You just got invited to the cookout. You're getting the chitlins before everybody. Big Mama got the specific hot sauce for you ready.
Was it
and
like,
then you go and say, Little Mo sounds like Mariah Carey. That easily gets you kicked out.
Oh, wait.
Be careful.
You just told me who it was then. Okay.
Yeah, Lil Mo.
Oh, I don't know who Little Mo is.
Exactly.
I'm so sorry.
And we're putting her up with Mariah Carey. Lil Mo, she did good during that era, but Mariah Carey.
You're saying my comment insulted Mariah.
Oh, completely.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just mad at me because I couldn't get the voice right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you were doing great with the Easy E stuff. And like, man, this dude Chad.
That's
he
great.
eating collard greens, chitlins, cornbread on the side, and now Big Mama just took your plate back because you said Lil Mo and Mariah Carey are almost the same.
Somebody stepping over. Excuse me, I'm going to take that cornbread back now. Can't have any cornbread after that. What are you doing?
It's all right. We're getting better. It's all right.
Hey, at least at the cookout, they would have enjoyed the fact that I didn't know Steve Forbert. I had no idea.
Yeah, nobody at the cookout would have known who was Steve Forbert.
Even at the Forbert family reunion, I don't think they know Steve Forbert. My goodness. Oh my good. All right, Stems and Seeds. AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Eagles did make that choice we talked about yesterday. Dallas Goedert goes to the IR. They also got something to help on the defensive line. Linval Joseph, the two-time Pro Bowler, is now an Eagle because, I didn't realize this one, Zay, Jordan Davis had to go to the IR after what did he do? High ankle sprain against the Steelers. I didn't realize that.
Yo, somebody that big he has to be pushing like 350. And high ankle sprain, that is horrible news. And that's a big reason why that Washington Commanders rushing attack was so good against the Eagles, because they've been missing him for so long. Even though he's a rookie, he's still a big-time contributor on that defense.
Also, big day in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson is back at practice. He can practice with him again. 2 more weeks he's got to sit out, and then he's supposed to be back for that game against the Texans. The way Jacoby Brissett is playing, now they're 3-6, Zay. Is it still Deshaun Watson's team when he comes back? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's no doubt.
Yeah. You paid them all that money. I repeat, all that money.
Yeah.
Guaranteed for him to sit. I don't think so. He's playing once he gets back, rusty or not.
That is fair. Cleveland at Buffalo this week, and then Houston Texans. Can I get a victory from you? Houston's hosted Washington. Can I get that as a Cowboys fan? Maybe.
Nah, Taylor Heineke rolling. You saw them give him the Kirk Cousins treatment. He's rolling. They're rolling. It's going to be a dub for the Commanders.
By the way, easy choice there for Ron Rivera. He can, even if you were going to go with Wentz, why wouldn't you just play Heineke against the Texans? Right?
Oh, yeah.
That's easy. And when you do it, you pat him on the shoulder and say, hey, Heineke, you're my guy. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And then just send him out there.
Yeah.
Do not put Wentz back in that game.
Carson Wentz, I wouldn't play him for the rest of the season. Sorry.
Well,
hey, it is what it is.
You are sizing up a Taylor Heineke tattoo right now, so we should be clear with people.
I'm a little biased.
You are a little biased. You might be getting a tattoo of Taylor Heineke somewhere on your body.
Taylor Heineke, after every win, he gets a new pair of J's in the color of the team he beat the previous week. He just got some white and green Air Jordan 4s. That's a big reason why he's my dude.
That is pretty cool. All right, Longhorn Blitz podcast coming up tonight at 7. Gonzaga tip is at 8:30. Pregame at 8. And you got Ball Don't Lie coming up. We'll be back for a Thursday show tomorrow. Jeff Howe at 1. Brian Jones at 2. Come on back and see us. Stay right here on the Horn. There's a lot going on. Stay safe out there. See ya.